Hello, and welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. Today, you are not ready for the episode I've got for y'all today. We got the horns because today is a dragon video, and it's not just any dragon video. It's Yeshua. No, Yahweh. Sorry, I get the two confused. My diddly darn bad. But Yahweh is a dragon. I found this amazing creator. Amazing creator. He's linked in the description of this video, so please go click on his link and go follow him. But he is somebody who I came across after doing all of this research with the book that we've been reading, because for those of you guys who are just tuning in, we have been reading the book The First Sex by Elizabeth Gold Davis here on the channel on live, doing a book breakdown. And the craziest thing is that this book is essentially insinuating that the Abrahamic religions, i.e. Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are all taking their god from the old Sumerian creation goddess Tiamat. So when I kept doing more like a deep dive into this, I guess you could say, I ended up finding this amazing creator's profile. And because I've just been, really deep into the dragon stuff, on TikTok and all of that, I'm very happy that I found this guy's channel. So please go click his link is in the description of this video. Go follow him on TikTok. We're about to take his video and go through it a little bit. But basically, he has a video called Yahweh Is A Dragon Serpent God, Not God. Very interesting. So I'm very excited to share this with you. And then after we watch the video, chat a little bit about it, I'm going to call upon Pickle Chips. We're going to channel Pickle Chips and ask Pickle Chips some questions about Yahweh being a dragon. Because it was Pickle Chips who told me to not give up my faith in God. Okay? I have a buffalo just like this horns. Hell yeah, Nattle. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Martin S. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Violet Maze. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. And Isanator. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. I'm so happy to have you guys back. I'm so happy to be back. I'm really excited about today's video. Okay, so grab a snack, grab a drink, okay? Get cozy, get your little dragon stuffed animals, all right? Have your homies, okay, come up, because this is gonna be a big one, okay? It's gonna be a lot, this one, okay? We're gonna have a lot of fun today. I have a really good feeling. Gabriel Hoffman, welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather and Crown Fox Productions. So happy to have you here finally for a live. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Sin Vaderlo, greetings from Germany. Greetings from America. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Ren Malaysian, welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Okay, I'm so excited. Can you tell? I'm hyped. Because, the more that I keep going and going and going into the Abrahamic faiths, which, let me tell you, for those of you guys who might not know me, hi, my name is Azura Dragonfeather. I am a Draconic High Priestess, and all that means is I've been practicing dragon witchcraft for almost 2 decades. And I've been working with dragon spirits ever since I could remember as a little girl. People used to call them my imaginary friends, but little did they know I was always talking to spirits. So that's why in this video, I really had to just kind of leave that disclaimer there, because my dragon guardian, who we call Pickle Chips on the channel, like a nickname, they were the one who told me to really start studying the Abrahamic faiths again. They're like, read the Quran, read the Bible, read the history about Judaism, read the history about Christianity and Catholicism, read the history about Islam, right? So this is all very exciting. I'm very excited. Yes, Lucifer is a dragon as well. So I'm really excited. I think we're just gonna jump into this video. We might pop into this video for a little bit. Excuse me, more than once. We might just watch it a few times to just really make sure we get it. But it says, you were all I watched in my baby witch days. Now I've been practicing 14 years. Holy crap. Crown Fox Productions. You honor me I can't even wrap my little brain around that, you know? So thank you for clicking on my videos and letting me in your space 14 years ago and popping up to say hi today. That's crazy. Vex Typer, welcome to your Talentos a Dragon. Okay, so now that the gang's all here, okay, we're gonna jump into this video. So this guy's name is, I have it in the description, but I think he calls himself, yes, he calls himself the Celestial God King TAHUT. So I highly recommend following him on TikTok. So let us get into the juice. Are you ready? Let's get into the juice of what this guy has to say.
So a lot of y'all like to say that Yahweh is God and that y'all pray to Yahweh. This is indeed incorrect. Yahweh is a dragon serpent God that was mentioned and described as having flames coming through his mouth and nose and as a winged beast, and I will prove this today. Be extremely careful who you call on. Now understand, once you begin giving praise outside of yourself and start praying outside of yourself, you're giving your essence away. You are God. You have the power to manifest and bring anything into fruition. What you're supposed to do is give gratitude. That's it. That's all. Now I'm going to read this directly from the source so I don't misquote it. I know it off the top, but I don't want to misquote anything. And I'm going to tell you where they replace one of the words. They don't want you to know this shit. Deuteronomy 32:22, for a fire is kindled in my nostrils, and it shall burn in the lowest hell, and it shall consume the earth with her increase, and set ablaze the foundations of the mountains. Now instead of nostrils, they replaced it with wrath or anger. Psalms 18:8, smoke went up from his nostrils, devouring fire from out of his mouth. Coals flamed forward from out of his mouth. Once again, sounds like a dragon to me. Now, if you don't know what the tabernacle was, that was a huge tent that only Yahweh rested in. And he had a lot of livestock and daily sacrifices brought to him every single day. Now, in Numbers 32 through 41, it mentions Mennonite virgins to be sacrificed to Yahweh. It speaks on thousands of sheep, goat, cattle, and donkeys. Also speaks of 420 pounds of gold was gifted to Yahweh. Now, if you know anything about dragons, they love virgins because they are pure-blooded. They love cattle and livestock, obviously, because they eat meat, and they love gold. You see that in any folklore. That was even mentioned in the movie The Hobbit. The Aboriginal Australians and Aboriginal Chinese used to also praise a dragon serpent god. So this is not so far-fetched, y'all. I'm giving y'all facts and y'all can go look this shit up. The Aztecs also had a dragon serpent god called Quetzalcoatl. That's who they also sacrificed virgins to. Even Moses with the 10 Commandments was describing Yahweh coming down out of a storm cloud as a winged beast with elongated nostrils with smoke erupting from his nostrils. Here's some Psalms quotes even describing what Yahweh looked like. Multiple ones. Yahweh also had deep connections with copper. If you know anything about dragons, dragons do not naturally breathe fire. I learned this some years ago. Dragons actually like being in mountains called the copper mountains because they eat the copper, and when the fumes that they give off fuses with that copper that they're eating, that is what creates the fire. They never naturally create fire. Once again, the Bible is very factual. It's just the perception of it that's taught is wrong. All this ancient history is placed in the Bible, so these are facts. It's also metaphorical and allegorical. So a lot of y'all like to say that
So that was a lot. That was just like, I wanted to let you guys like get the full thing first, and I think we should like go bit by bit. So I love that he includes the old references from the Old Testament in Psalms 17:8, Psalms 36:8, Psalms 57:2, and Deuteronomy 32:22. These make a lot of sense to me because when I mean, we all know that the Bible's been translated a million times, right? It's just like ridiculous at this point. But what we do know is that the oldest version we have in English is still a English translated version off of the original Bible. And we all know that the Bible is riddled with false equivalencies and very intentional mistranslations to just change the narrative. But let's take his video and break it down like bit by bit.
Yahweh is God and that y'all pray to Yahweh. This is indeed incorrect. Yahweh is a dragon serpent god that was mentioned and described as having flames coming through his mouth and nose and as a winged beast, and I will prove this today. Be extreme.
Yeah, so he's saying that Yahweh in the Bible, or it's described as being a winged beast. Yahweh is described as being a winged beast and flames pouring out of his nostrils and his mouth. Yes, they purposely mistranslated it to fit their narrative. Of course, Nightmare Fuel Studios and Rebel Child Witchery. Welcome back to your daily dose of Dragon Feather. Welcome, Alfred Cordova and Smokey, to your daily dose of Dragon Feather. Woo! Okay, so this is insane to me because, like, if this is true, if Yahweh is a dragon, then that makes my whole life make so much sense, because I was born Mormon, raised Mormon, worshiping the Mormon God, which is the God we're talking about, Yahweh. So I was very, very traumatized in the church for trying to find a divine feminine figure and asking about that. Got in a lot of trouble as a kid. But because of my religious trauma, I was very much like, no, fuck Christianity, fuck God, fuck any of it, right? I was very much like, that religion is evil, right? Evil. But I always thought it was strange that when I stepped away from Christianity or Mormonism, just organized religion in general, and I started working with dragons on a very personal, one-on-one, very conscious level, all throughout my deconstruction of my religious trauma and healing through my religious trauma, every single time I came to the conclusion that that God from Christianity, Mormonism, Catholicism, Islam, Judaism, that God was evil. I was very convinced that that God was evil. It was meant to control people. It was meant to oppress people. And it was a tool of people in power to keep everybody collectively suppressed, you know, like very docile, right? I always found it very curious that whenever I came to that conclusion, my dragon guardians were very adamant about me not giving up in my faith of God or Yahweh or dragon. Pickle Chips, we're gonna ask you questions soon. Yahweh wasn't evil. The people who rewrote the Bible were evil. Yes, that comment, absolutely.
Be careful who you call on. Now understand, once you begin giving praise outside of yourself and start praying outside of yourself, you're giving your essence away. You are God. You have the power to
Okay, so that's what I want to touch on next. The more that I literally study Jesus's teachings, the more that I study Abrahamic religions, the more that I study monotheism in the sense of, you know, like modern day organized religions like Islam or Christianity or Judaism, I am realizing that these teachings of Jesus or these teachings of the prophets, many different ones, peace be upon them, it's all around the becoming God within you. It's about imbuing yourself and touching the piece of God that's already within you, because the only reason why human beings are animated or alive, right, is because we have that essence, right? Like, our bodies are electromagnetic functioning nervous systems, right? Like, our bodies operate off of electricity. Electricity is just 2 seconds away from being literal light, right? Some of it literally is light. But here is my whole point, right? My whole point is that you are God. And when I have done, like, you know, like my meditations, especially when I've used earth medicine to help me heal from my own trauma, I pretty much got the download from those experiences that God is us. Us. All of our perspectives make up God, us, right? So when you do start praising things outside of you, which is why I feel like the modern day religions, the Abrahamic faiths, you know, like Islam, Judaism, and Christianity, the way that they have you view these teachings is very much in a surrendering your power outside of yourself. It's very much a postulating, right? Like, it's about surrendering. It's about, you know, giving all of your power to a higher power or to God, right? And for some people, that really, 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 really works for them, right? But for some people, it actually really, really, really hinders our abilities to connect with ourselves, to be fully human, right? Like, it's not a one size fits all thing, which is why in spirituality, or especially witchcraft, or any sort of thing where you're going to work with spirits, especially gods or goddesses, even if you're working with gods or goddesses, not in a witchy way, but like, and not in like a spiritual way, but in like a religious way, like, you're still praying to a deity, right? You're still proselytizing to something outside of you. Like, you're still giving your power away, right? But if you do it in a way where you are literally just grateful for the experience and you don't seek outside of yourself for, I guess, maybe power or guidance sometimes, you can already know that you actually don't need any of it. All of your internal guidance is built in, okay? It's built into the hardwiring. You know what I mean? So let's continue with this guy's video.
And bring anything into fruition. What you're supposed to do is give gratitude. That's it. That's all. Now I'm gonna read this directly from the source so I don't misquote it. I know it off the top, but I don't want to misquote anything. And I'm gonna tell you where they replace one of the words. They don't want you to know this shit. In Deuteronomy 32:22, for a fire is kindled in my nostrils, and it shall burn in the lowest hell, and it shall consume the earth with her increase, and set ablaze the foundations of the mountains. Now instead of nostrils, they
So that was a Bible verse from Deuteronomy 32:22. And in the Testament that I have, it's translated to wrath in my Bible, right? It says that fire, like the fire is coming from his wrath, right? Like, almost insinuating that hell is coming from his anger, from God's anger. But that's actually not true. If you really look at the original texts before they were translated to fit somebody's like agenda, it says nostrils. And why would it say nostrils? That's so motherfucking specific. And like, there's literally what else do we know of that has fire coming out of its nostrils? Oh, wait. You got it. It's a dragon. Yeah, good job, guys. You guys are fucking smart. Okay, ready?
replaced it with wrath or anger. Psalms 18:8. Smoke went up from his nostrils, devouring fire from out of his mouth. Coals flamed forward from out of his mouth. Once again, sounds like a dragon to me. Now, if you don't know what the tavern...
Coals flamed over his mouth. Might be off tonight. Just found out my childhood cat crossed the Rainbow Bridge. Oh, rebel child, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, please know that I'm sending you all of my love, and may your guardians be with you tonight. And if I may offer this, whenever we have somebody who passed away, be it pets, loved ones, or whatever, we did a channeling with my dragon guardians, with 3 of them the other day, and they said that when we lose somebody, they don't go to heaven, they don't go to, you know, the afterlife, they go right here. When they pass, they go right here. So remember that they're still with you, and there's no right or wrong way to grieve. So have a great night. But yes, so as I was saying, like, it's also mentioning the tabernacle, right? Which is this like place where Yahweh used, it was a portable earthly dwelling place of Yahweh used by the Israelites from Exodus until the conquest of Canaan. That's from Wikipedia. So we are gonna like do more of an in-depth, I mean, I'm probably gonna have to like look more into this on my own and then make more like come back like and talk to you guys about it. But here's the thing. I have always, ever since I was a very little girl, when people asked me what I believed God was, I always said God was a dragon. Like, and I got in a lot of trouble as a kid, okay? Like, I did, I really promise you. It was very much, how dare you, you blasphemous piece of shit. I literally would have been burned so fast if I was born in any other generation, truly, any other location on the planet, even today, probably. And fundamentally, like, I've always felt intuitively, like ever since I was a very little girl, that the primordial creative forces of our world are draconic in nature. And my whole entire life experience, especially ever since I decided to practice witchcraft at 13, and like I've been practicing witchcraft consciously ever since that, every single step that I take on my path, every single thing, truth that I uncover, every literature I read, every god and goddess that I work with, every spirit that I work with, you know, they all point to that direction. You know? Are you truly living if they wouldn't have burned you at the stake in medieval times? Phoenix Holly, welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather, and that is the motto I'm going to be living my life by, because it's true. Like, people nowadays, they can't just like get mad at what I have to say and like tie me to a post and burn me alive. Like, no. Like, today people get mad at what I have to say, and they can block me, they can unsubscribe, they can leave me a shitty comment, they can do that. But guess what they can't do? They can't take my life. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is why, like, I tell, like, especially women, like, I need everybody to remember that my channel is first for women. Like, my channel is not a channel that's, like, witchcraft catered to everybody. No. My channel is witchcraft catered to women. And, like, if that isn't for you, that's totally understandable. But the more that I dive deep into learning about creation forces, like creation myths, creation stories, gods and goddesses that are creators, they are gods and they are dragon gods, and they are chaos. Anyway.
That was a huge tent that only Yahweh rested in, and he had a lot of livestock and daily sacrifices brought to him every single day. Now in Numbers 31, 32 through 41, it mentions Mennonite virgins to be sacrificed to Yahweh. It speaks on thousands of sheep, goat, cattle, and donkeys. Also speaks of 420 pounds of gold was gifted to Yahweh. Now, if you know anything about dragons,
so that sounds curious to me, because like if you're basically giving, like, it's saying in the Testament that there was multiple sacrifices demanded by Yahweh. But if Yahweh was a dragon in the flesh, right? And they came from the sky, from the maelstrom, right? From the clouds, a winged beast breathing fire. What would that need? A lot of fucking food, okay? A lot, okay? A lot, you know? I find it really hard to think of a God outside myself. I just don't think they care about me like I care about myself and family. I don't know what you'd call that, to BH. I just believe everyone is their own. Anubis, I love this. I love this. Let's break this down, because for a long time, I also felt like it was hard for me to like worship or like think of a god outside of myself, right? Most of my practice has been very void of deity work, right? Like, I just really have only worked with maybe a handful of goddesses, and that's really truly it in terms of like deity work. But the more that I worked with my dragons, especially like my really close dragon guardians, the more that I realized that when I worked with gods and goddesses as aspects of myself, as archetypes within me, that's when my practice was revolutionized overnight. So I believe in, for example, Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty. I believe in her as a goddess, but I believe in her as the archetype within me that exists. I believe in the Aphrodite that's within me, right? I believe in the Yahweh that's inside of me. I believe in the TAHUT that's within inside of me. And that might be a little bit of a hot take for how I work with like deities or gods and goddesses. Some people will completely work with them in a different way. But here's the cool thing. The whole point of the human experience is to have your own adventure. It's a choose your own adventure. And some people choose to be their own god, and some people choose to worship gods outside of them. Both are valid, right? Like, even your name, Anubis, right? The god Anubis. Like, I can work with the god Anubis as a archetype of myself, as an archetype of my own dark masculine energy, right? Like, there is the god of death living within me too. just like there is the God of life living within me as well, just like you. Like, you guys have that too. This is why we're called that. This is why the Bible says that we were created by God in God's image. We were created in God's image in the sense that we are creators ourselves. We are gods ourselves. We co-create this reality together, right? And so that's why anyway anyone chooses to connect with anything or however they want to layer it, as long as it's not infringing upon somebody else's rights to do the same, or taking what somebody else's culture has had for generations and changing it into a way that makes it your own, that would be considered colonization or cultural appropriation. What I'm talking about is humans are allowed to explore any knowledge they want to that exists here, both in their hearts or in the physical. I am allowed to read this controversial book, The First Sex by Elizabeth Gould Davis. I am allowed to read this incredibly difficult book that offers me many, many, many different perspectives of reality. But at the end of the day, it's up to me if I choose to believe that. Do I believe what I'm reading? Because if I believed every single thing that was written in The First Sex by Elizabeth Gould Davis, I would be an absolute bigot. I would be racist, I would be transphobic, I'd be ableist, I'd be fatphobic, I would just be all of the anti-Semitic, the Islamophobic, all of it, you know? I'd be feminist. I'd still be a white supremacist though. But that's my point. Like, I don't have to read everything in this book and accept it as fact. You don't have to, you know, watch my videos and accept everything I say as fact. That's the fun part about free will, right? Like somebody can tell you you can't do something, but the reality is, if somebody told me I can't change the color to bright, right? I literally just did that. If you told me I couldn't do it, I did it anyway. You can tell me that I can't work with dragons and I can't work with God, but I do it anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need validation. And I also have this understanding that we're all connected, right? Like, this is something that I learned when I was using earth medicine to try and recover from my trauma. When I used my earth medicine and through those journeys, those psychedelic experiences, I realized that everything is connected. And if everything is connected, then the gods you're working with are of you as much as you are of them. Therefore, you are God as much as God is all of us. Do you know what I mean? That's why, like, my dragon guardians on this channel tell me, like, my channel isn't really like a witchy, like, dragon. Like, yes, we'll talk about dragons, but like, more than anything, my dragon guardians want me to hold safe space for all religions to coexist peacefully on this channel, and for people to, you know, who might mix some of the religions in an eclectic way, they have space here too. Like, Christian witches, you're welcome here. Like, you know, Islamic mystics, you guys are welcome here. Like, you have to understand that everybody is so able and capable of believing whatever they want between their two ears. That is their business, between them and God, right? Between them and their higher self, or whatever you believe in, you know, their spirit teams or whatever. But at the end of the day, what I choose to believe in this brain is between my ears and my ears alone. And same with you. The only issue is when we're like killing people over not believing a certain way, or like, you don't conform to this, or I don't understand that, so you must be a demon. Like, no, my dragons are not demons, thank you. No, my dragons are not jinns, thank you. No, my dragons are not aliens, thank you. Right? But to some people they might be, and they're 100% allowed to believe that. 100% allowed to believe that. You know? I wonder your perspective on free will. I was taught free will was given by God, but it was a mistake and it's evil. But was it really? No, creation is already finished. Let me tell you something. Creation is already finished. Nothing can be created nor destroyed, only transmuted, transferred, and transformed. These are teachings I've gotten from Pickle Chips, okay? Buckle in with me because you're going to really love this one. Creation is already finished. That is why your life is a choose your own adventure. Based on the choices you make will open up the already created possibilities for you, which is why, if you ask me, free will is a paradox, because it exists in the sense you get to choose what life you live, but it doesn't exist in the sense that all the realities you could choose are already made. Does that make sense? Do you follow? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? You know, you picking it up? So let's keep going.
Love virgins because they are pure-blooded. They love cattle and livestock, obviously, because they eat meat, and they love gold. You see that in any folklore. That was even mentioned in the movie The Hobbit. The Aboriginal Australians and Aboriginal Chinese used to also praise a dragon serpent god. So this is not so far-fetched.
So that's something else I want to touch upon. When you look at Eastern cultures, especially China, like you will see how revered and honored the dragon is. And you also have to know, yes, the Leviathan is a dragon. You also have to understand that with these, what's it called? You know, with these, like these, I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. He said, sorry, my friend. Oh yes, so in Eastern cultures, like they are dragons without wings. I think that's very, very important in this. Dragons without wings but can fly nonetheless, and they are honored as gods. And even in Taoism, you want to know something crazy? In Taoism, there is a dragon god of the East called the Azure Dragon. You can't make this shit up, okay? I can't make this shit up. And this god was responsible for bringing the what? The rains and the flowering fields and the floods that made the land fertile. And to appease this Azure dragon god, they would do different rituals and rites and offerings and things like that in order to ensure healthy rains, healthy fields, healthy crops for their harvest, right? Some link Leviathan with Jormundur in Norse mythology, which is a sea dragon. Yes. I mean, I'm getting from Pickle Chips that all of these dragons are it's very similar to the TAHUT situation. Lots of names for the same thing. But also different versions of the same thing. Slightly different energy signatures, if that makes sense. Aren't you also an Aquarius, which is an air sign? Yes, Nightmare Fuse Studios. And Aquarius is also known as the what? The water bearer, which is what? A cloud. Yeah, if you see me become Taoist, just know it's because I'm a Zora Dragon Feather, okay? I'm serious. I'm so serious, okay? Anyway, let's continue, my friends.
These used to also praise a dragon serpent god. So this is not so far-fetched, y'all. I'm giving y'all facts and y'all can go look this shit up. The Aztecs also had a dragon serpent god called Quetzalcoatl. That's who they also sacrificed virgins to. Even Moses with the 10 Commandments was describing Yahweh coming down out of a storm cloud as a winged beast with elongated nostrils with smoke erupting from his nostrils. Here's some Psalms quotes even describe.
I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? A winged beast coming from the clouds with elongated nostrils and smoke coming out of them. If that is not a dragon, I do not know what is. Holy crap. I said, I feel bad for Leviathan. In the Bible, Leviathan got done dirty and demonized, which I think is disgraceful. Gabriel, guess what though? The Bible talking about the Leviathan in that way is very much to demonize Leviathan. I'm a Cancer, but my Lilith is Aquarius in the 8th house of Pisces, Anubis. My Lilith is in Cancer in the 10th house? 10th house. I think it's in the 10th house. I'm not too sure. It might be in the 11th house. Pretty sure it's the 10th house now that I think about it. And you know what really kind of sucks though? Like, my whole life has just been family trauma after fucking loss of family, after fucking loss. I don't need to get into that one. You sent me on a rabbit hole, Anubis. Like, no, there's like, it's saying here, look, these are references. See on the screen, I'm trying to get it to focus, but like, this is the Hebrew text, right? This is the Hebrew text, and these are the English translations. It says, hide me in the shadow of your wings. God and humans seek refuge in the shadow of your wings. And in the shadow of your wings, I seek refuge. I seek refuge in the shelter of your wings. And in the shadow of your wings, I shout for joy. What? What? Do you know how many times I have been in such near-death experiences? And what brought me back was the shadow of dragon wings, the shade from dragon wings. What? 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 Oh my god, what? Please excuse me, I'm a little crybaby about these kinds of things. Something about dragons really makes me feel so loved and special. Okay. Let's see, are there any more little like descriptions he has? Yes, here's one. It says, with his pinions he will cover you, and under his wings you will find refuge. Oh my gosh, hold on. Yeah, deep connections with copper. I love that he mentions in this that people who, excuse me, not people, but dragons don't naturally produce fire. And if you guys have seen the documentary called The Last Dragon, you can watch it for free here on YouTube. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. It basically goes into like, it's like a hypothetical documentary, right? It's like if they were to discover a frozen dragon carcass, and they like, you know, were able to do an autopsy on a frozen dragon carcass, what would happen? That is essentially the plot line for this like fictional documentary, right? The greatest story, the greatest creature that never was is kind of, I think, the idea of it, right? But in that documentary, they explore the possibility of dragon flight with flight bladders being filled with helium, or I think it was helium produced by just like whatever the dragon eats. There's like a chemical reaction that they have an organ, right, that would create that. And so then this helium gas is also flammable, right? So what they postulated is that dragons could breathe fire if they ate platinum off the rocks in this like fictional documentary, right? So if they ate the platinum off the rocks, that would basically make it like spark. That would spark the helium into a flame, essentially turning them into a lighter, right? Like, you know, when you light your, you know, like your lighter, how it like, you know, has a little flame, that would be the spark that would make that. So I love that he mentions copper, because that is, again, another possibility, right? Platinum, copper, sparkable metals.
Had deep connections with copper. If you know anything about dragons, dragons do not naturally breathe fire. I learned this some years ago. Dragons actually like being in mountains called the copper mountains, because they eat the copper, and when the fumes that they give off fuses with that copper that they're eating, that is what creates the fire. They never naturally create fire. Once again, the Bible is very factual. It's just the perception of it that's taught is wrong. All this ancient history.
The Bible is very factual. It is the perception of it that is taught, which is wrong. The Bible is very factual. It is the perception of it that is wrong. Say it with me, class. The Bible is very factual. The lens we are taught to view it from is the wrong part. It's also very mistranslated. But this is why, like, you know, the way I've been reading The First Sex, trying to, as Pickle Chips says, find the gems of truth within the dark, cluttery mess that this book is, that is the same way you should approach your Bibles. That is the same way you should approach your Qurans. That is the same way you should approach the Egyptian Book of the Dead. That is the same way you should approach any teachings that are spiritual, any teachings that claim to be the truth, any teachings that claim to be religious or spiritual or faith-based in any sense. If they are texts claiming to be, this is the one true way, if they are texts claiming that this is the way to enlightenment, this is the way to evolve, you must read those texts with a very, very skeptical and critical scholarly lens. Otherwise, what you will be so much more susceptible to the propaganda that still lives in them today. So looks for diamonds in the rough amongst lead. Exactly, Alfred Cordova. Let me tell you something. In alchemical terms, we have a lead pile and you are looking for the golden nuggets, okay? The version of the Bible we know today has very little in common with the original unaltered text. The original unaltered text is more in line with paganism than modern Christianity. Exactly, Nightmare Fuel Studios. The fact of the matter is that, like, the original Christians were actually some of the most powerful mystics. They literally were mystics. They practiced mysticism through a Christian lens, through a Jewish lens, and later through a Muslim lens, right? What about the supernatural side of dragons, like how some manipulate weather and stuff? Yes, Gabriel, we were just talking about how literally they're dragon gods, right? Like some of these dragons are dragon gods. And Pickle Chips, you know, tells me dragons come in just about every shape, size, and form that humans can think of and beyond. Like, we have literal physical dragons manifested on our earth today. Like, some people have them as pets. Hi, they're called bearded dragons. Like, that is draconic energy manifested. Yes, it's an earth dragon, but like it's still a dragon nonetheless, right? Komodo dragon, we got snakes, we got serpents, right? We got crocodiles, hashtag swamp dragon, okay? Like, there's so many different kinds of draconic like entities, right? You could even argue that raptor birds are air dragons, right? And I, Dragon Feather, will die on that hill. So this is where it comes into the elemental thing, right? Being sort of the forces, which is why even when I was a really young kid, my intuition told me that dragons were just the personifications of the elemental creation primordial forces in general. Some of them were just one, like a water dragon. Some of them were multiple elements, you know, like I used to, you know, I'm not allowed to share that with you. Sorry, I just got cut off. But I used to work with lots of different things more vividly like that when I was a child, and my practice as an adult practicing draconic witchcraft, working with dragon spirits, has mostly been a journey of reconnecting with all of the dragons that I worked with when I was a literal child. And some people might think that I need to see a doctor, and you know what, you're valid for that. You can have whatever opinion you want, that's great, but I have this thing called free will, and I'm going to post on the internet about my dragon obsession because it has saved my life and is literally the only thing that leads me to discover incredible things in this world. I would literally know nothing. Really not that much I do as I do now, right? Like, I would know things, but not in the way that I do if I had not been working with my dragons. Yeah, all modern birds and reptiles are dragons. I'll die on this hill. Yes, I am the same. Jesus Christ. Welcome to your Daily Dose of Dragon Feather. Oh my God. Jesus in the chat. Jesus in the chat. Jesus in the chat. Jesus in the chat. Christ. Jesus in the chat. Jesus in the chat. Christ. Jesus in the chat. Jesus Christ. Okay. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. There's lots of Jewish and Christian mysticism that modern Christians don't know about or purposefully ignore. A good portion of modern witchy practices comes from Jewish mysticism. Yes, Nightmare Fuel Studios! And to add on to that, there's also Islamic mysticism too. So, like, please don't get it twisted, okay? Like, there's overlaps with everything, right? Like, religion and spirituality, Pickle Chips tells me, looks like the flower of life because everything overlaps, right? But if you zoom out far enough, it's all one thing. All one thing. You know how like a Venn diagram is like two circles like this? Pickle Chips says that religion, spirituality, and faith-based practices on this planet with humanity is like a Venn diagram, but like a flower of life. Each circle being each different view of religion or spirituality or faith. And all of those interlappings and vertices where we cross is how we create our experience here. It's actually really beautiful, okay? It's actually really beautiful. You're a little scrambled egg, aren't you? I mean, this is the best way. Jesus Christ, did you know that I call my literal viewers hatchlings? Can you please subscribe? I love you. Yes. Hashtag scrambled. Seriously. Oh my God, could you guys imagine a scrambled dragon? What does that look like? I'm crying. Okay. Because dragons are highly intelligent. Can dragons speak the human language? Of course, yeah. Yeah. I have dragons that won't speak to me in anything but like images, but I have dragons that speak like English too. But for the most part, I translate into English, right? Now I want an omelet. Actually, that sounds great. I've been here before, already subscribed. It was an interesting time. Oh, hell yeah. Well, welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. We kind of just broke down how Yahweh is a dragon, so that blew me away. But I also want to let you guys know that special shout out to our homeboy here who's just made the absolute fantastic of a video that we've been breaking down today. Celestial God King TAHUT, please go click the link in the description of this video, and I need you to understand one thing and one thing alone, okay? You gotta follow this guy, because this guy has a lot of really awesome things, especially with the topic that I've been really touching in here, which is the intersection between Abrahamic faiths and dragons. The symbol of my own spiritual practice that I created is literally a 3-circle Venn diagram. LOL. That's amazing. Welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. Nightmare Fuel Studios. Jesus is a fan of Azura. That proud moment. Okay, I'm putting that on my literal resume. Okay, Jesus is my fan. Okay, so far Loki is the only deity who doesn't like Azura. He doesn't hate Azura. He's just salty with Azura. You know, I think Loki might be a fan, but he's salty because I don't really pay attention to him. Oh no. Does Loki have a dragon form? Because I thought Loki gave birth to dragons. Like, am I remembering correctly? Is Loki Dragon Daddy? Because, like, I genuinely don't remember. How do you deal with family disappointing of your beliefs? I struggle with that often. Honestly, I literally cut most of them out. My dad actually is really supportive. He was the person who first bought me my first book on like witchcraft, and he used to let me make potions as a child. I would just go into the spice cabinet, mix a bunch of things, and then make him eat it. Poor guy. He thanks, Dad. You really fueled my inner witch as a kid. But like, yeah, my dad's always been really supportive of it, but the rest of my family's really like not so supportive of it. I've done some spells with a couple family members. But like where I'm at in my practice now, no one really wants me around because you can't just casually believe in things around me because I just know too much, right? Are you reading any good witchcraft books lately? Recommendation list in hand. I literally, this First Sex by Elizabeth Gold Davis, I know it's not technically a witchcraft book, but the historical context for all of the witchy practices, especially the druidry, the actual like goddess worship and like the different deities throughout human history has been one of my favorite things. Oh, off topic question, but what's your take on House of the Dragon, the TV show book? I love House of the Dragon, surprise. But here's my issue with it. My issue with it is that they depict the dragons as like brutes, like mindless brutes, right? Where the whole thing about the Targaryens is they gained their magic through the dragons. Like, I am a very firm believer that they should have in the show had some sort of depiction of how the dragons communicated with the Targaryens, right? Because in every sort of mythology that I've read or any sort of story that I've read when it comes to humans riding dragon back or like riding on dragons, dragon riders, right? There's always a very intimate bond between the dragons and the riders, and the dragons are always usually depicted in a way that's more human than dragon, right? So for example, Aragon. Loved Aragon because Saphira had a voice that only Aragon could hear, but she had consciousness nonetheless, and she also had magic nonetheless. You know what I mean? Whereas with the House of the Dragon, you kind of get a little bit of the magic with like, what's her, it's not Rhaenyra, it's not Rhaenys, it's one of the other girls who had visions. They're called dragon dreams in the show, right? So I think it would honestly just be really fun for me to break down House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones, all of the dragon stuff in there, because you guys know I literally only watched that show for the dragons. You know me. I just watch things with dragons because have to. Yes, Aragon was my fave. Lance of Dance. Welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. Yeah. Yahweh's a dragon. Okay. Have a good day. Anyway, that's kind of like my position on that. But I think we've gotten halfway through this video for today. So I think we can pivot to our second portion of today's live stream, which is we are going to go ask Pickle Chips some questions about Yahweh being a dragon. Where is this coming from? I just have some questions myself for Pickle Chips. For those of you guys who are watching who don't know who Pickle Chips is, it is a nickname for one of the dragons that I work with, right? So I have almost no idea what's being discussed here, but I'm all for it. Jesus Christ, I love you so much. Oh my gosh. Like seriously, I'm like I fucking love Jesus, okay? Like, I don't even understand. Like, some people who are like Jesus is king people and who actually worship Jesus as God, they don't even go as hard about Jesus as I do. Jesus is my guy. He's my homie. Okay. I want to watch House of the Dragons, but I am the same. I want more dragons, less annoying humans. Yes, Phoenix Holly. Literally. There is, okay, I don't know if I can find the video now, but there's this one video on YouTube of like Game of Thrones, just the like Targaryen dragon scenes, and you can just watch the whole show through the dragon eclipse. Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun. I wish I could find that link though. I haven't been able to find it when I've looked for it again, but if you can find it, more power to you. My dad supports my beliefs as well, and he knows it works through experience, but he hasn't practiced in years because it wasn't his path. But at the end of the day, he supports my practice in the occult. Yeah, that's amazing, Gabriel. Like, I honestly really don't know what I would do without my dad's support of my practice in the craft. Especially when he is like, I would say my dad is probably like a little bit more like conservative religiously, in the sense that like he still believes in God. I don't know if he would like identify as like Christian or Mormon or anything like that, but like my dad and I had a conversation like a few months ago where like I mentioned not really believing in God at all, and like he was like, oh well, I believe in God, and it was like really weird, right? Like it was really kind of like out of pocket, I guess, because like my dad was the one who took me to church when I was a kid, to the Mormon church, but he had a lot of like religious trauma too, and so I thought that he just kind of like stepped away from it. I was really surprised to hear he had a belief in God. So like my dad and I have conversations about it a lot, right? Horned one, hey, welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. I'm the horned one too today. But yeah, dragon father is crazy a little bit in that sense, but like in the sense of like hearing that my dad, like with how like he's very much like a free thinker, right? Like he's just like, he's really out there with the stuff that I like am into, right? Like we're pretty much kind of the same thing, right? Like I got my brain from my dad, I promise you. And so I was like, oh, my dad still believes in God. And so then like when my dad still believed in God and I thought he really like stepped away from that, and then I had dragons who I work with telling me not to stop believing in God when I genuinely didn't believe in God, was just very, very curiously compelling to me. And I had every right to say no, fuck that idea, and like not go down that path. But as uncomfortable as it was, I decided to be like, you know what does that look like? What does a practice look like when I worship God and believe in dragons? What does that look like? What does that mean? And so every single time that I was like trying to learn more and more about, you know, the real true roots of like, you know, the Abrahamic religions, because that's what I was raised in, that's where my religious trauma was. I was just trying to understand myself and just like the context of just my experience, right? And so that's how I really found all of this stuff, like Jesus Christ having a dragon form, and then Jesus Christ having a counterpart, divine feminine counterpart, Mary Magdalene, who was also a prophet of God, who was also referred to as a dragon by my guardians. And then I was like, what the fuck? And then recently I found the Yahweh Is A Dragon, the one that we did today, the video we went over today, and that's been another thing I've been diving into. And then also been hearing about Lilith and Lucifer having draconic forms, and it's just like all of it is like dragon, 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 dragon. Hey, we're dragons. And suddenly I'm a 5-year-old little girl in Sunday school drawing dragons and getting yelled at for it. If they only knew I was literally the most accurate of all of them, that would have been funny. Oh man, I think most deities have a dragon form, but I could be wrong. Nightmare Fuel Studios, that is exactly one of the questions we are going to be asking Pickle Chips here in a second. Because I have a few very, very pressing questions, okay? My parent threw away my paintings for being demonic, LMAO. Yes, Anubis, I think a lot of us have very similar experiences. I'm really sorry that happened to you, because obviously that's hella traumatic, but like, it really is. It really is. I'm really into Norse, Celtic, and Egyptian gods, and they're oozing with draconic energy. Yes, they are. Nightmare Fuel Studios. They really, really are. I can see these deities as dragons because they are forces of nature one way or another. Exactly, Phoenix Holly. Like, and that's why, like, you know, like, Pickle Chips tells me really everything is connected and we're all one, but like, there's also, you know, the saying like one for all and all for one? Like, if you really take that like concept and just kind of like mull it over a little bit, it's like all of our perceptions of God creates the one God of all, right? Like, arguably, right? Like, but then I could also argue that like I am God, you know what I mean? And you are God, and God is us. And I also feel like there's truth in every single perspective too. And that's why the law of paradox is probably my favorite law of the universe. And Pickle Chips is the dragon guardian that exclusively pressured me to work with, yes, Dr. Parasols. Everything is God. I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Clap, 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 clap. That's such a good one. Okay. Parasols, did I say your name right? Parasols? Anyway, welcome back to your daily dose of Dragon Feather. But I digress. The only thing I was trying to say is that like Pickle Chips is like the dragon guardian that made me basically put the law of paradox at the top of my practice, you know, with like alchemy and stuff like that, because like when you look at things from a view of paradox, you start being able to perceive all of these hidden truths in plain sight. So I think I'm gonna take just like a couple seconds to like drink some things. I might run to the bathroom, we'll see. And then we'll do these channeled messages from Pickle Chips, and then at the end of the live, if you guys have questions for Pickle Chips, we can just do a little Q&A too, just for shits and giggles. But I am drinking this today. It's called, this is not sponsored by the way, I'm just really obsessed with this product. It's called Alive Ancient Mushroom Elixir. This is the cola version. So this is like a healthy Coca-Cola. If you know, we don't buy Coca-Cola products on this channel, Free Palestine, okay? Please click the link in my description to donate to the family, Omar and Mara, that I have sponsored from Gaza, if you are able to. I would really, really appreciate that. But this makes me feel great. It is a, has ancient mushrooms in it with reishi, chaga, and turkey tail. Those are the mushrooms in it, and basically this makes me feel functional. And it helps with my gut bacteria, like it helps have like a healthy gut biome, right? So probiotics, right? There's also apple cider vinegar in here. I'll just read you the ingredients because it's so good. It says adaptogenic mushroom infusion, reishi, chaga, turkey tail, black tea, raw apple cider vinegar, cold pressed apple juice, cold pressed lime juice, cinnamon, erythritol, cane sugar, vanilla extract, cola nut, sea salt, black pepper, and stevia leaf. And most of it is organically produced. So cheers. I hope you guys are having a great day. I purchased these at Sprouts Farmers Market and at Follow Your Heart. It's a vegan market out here in LA. But if you cannot find them at your local grocery store or health food store. Sometimes you can find them in Trader Joe's, but you probably will find the root beer version in Trader Joe's, not the cola version. I like the cola version, but if you can't, you can order them online. They are delicious. Damn, I'm not being healthy right now. I'm having tiramisu. Hey, tiramisu's good for the soul, so arguably, it is good for you, bitch. Arguably. Cheers. Me over here with OG cola. You guys are so silly. But like, I just want you to know, I'm not like shaming your decisions or whatever. I'm just like here to try and like offer an example of like to try to be the best you can, right? Because like the videos that I make truly are like, I'm trying to set an example for my younger self, right? I have a monster. I arguably have many monsters, okay? Are they drinks? No. It's a cat and a boyfriend. I love my boyfriend, please. That was just, we like to pick on each other. It's fun. Anyway, so I'm also drinking this because I have chronic period pain and we are day 10 into my period. I'm very disappointed. So, cheers. Hopefully, I mean, the dragons will tell me all this crazy esoteric knowledge, but when I ask about how to fucking fix my period problems, they just giggle at me. They're like, anyway. Funny thing, I had a dream and had a pet bearded dragon, and then I woke up and got recommended your live stream. Cheers. I love that. I love that. I love that. Okay. I've got a nice spot of whiskey. My grandpa says spot of tea. And I love it. And I have to like always do it in the most obnoxious British accent. Spot of tea? You want a spot of tea, Grandpa? It's so funny. Anyway, it's called Alive Cola. Ancient Mushroom Elixir. If you just search GT_S Alive Cola, everywhere on the internet. I offered Monster energy drinks to my dragon all the time. Is that weird? No! Do they like it? Do they like it? That's amazing. The orange drink is an adult beverage that I can't really super promote to you. It's the devil's lettuce, okay? Because it helps with my period cramps. So, yeah. I can, like, kind of drink it, but I can't, like, really talk about it. Because, like, YouTube likes to demonetize me for that. So we're trying to keep this stream monetized because the last streams that I've done reading the Elizabeth Gold Davis book have, like, really just narked my channel. It's just like, what are you talking about? Okay, so today we're just talking about dragons. It's fine. It's fine. Yes, the herb of life. Do dragons like humans? Of course they do. Some of them don't, actually. Okay, we're gonna get into this channeling message. Let me finish my damn drink and then let's open this can of worms because we got questions. We do. Many, many indeed. I'm gonna do a chug thing. Okay. Viewer discretion is advised. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm a trained professional. Do not attempt at home. Okay. Good talk. Okay. I have to like chug the whole thing at once, right? Because if I don't really get the medical benefits, right? Makes me feel a little bit like a drug addict, but you know what? Some people pop a million pills for their pain, and that's fine. No one bats an eye at that. Yeah, chugging. Dude. Okay. So, here we go. I am gonna get myself all comfortable for this channeling session. Let me just make sure all my stuff and stuff. Well, Ren, if you just tap into my energy a little bit, maybe we can get you high off this live stream, okay? High off live stream. Okay, so for those of you guys who are new here, or who have never seen me do a channeling before, in order to open up my channel, I do a breathing technique called the dragon breath, or breath of fire. No, not the breath of fire, the dragon breath. We're doing dragon breath, which is 2 inhalations, really deep, quick inhalations, followed by a long exhale through the mouth, okay? You're gonna inhale through the nose, you're gonna exhale through the mouth. You're more than welcome to join me in this exercise. All right, I'm gonna give you a little example. It goes like this. Okay? It's just a little example, all right? And we're just gonna do that to oxygenate our blood and to open up our body to be more receptive to messages, be more sensitive to our extra senses or extrasensory stuff, okay? With that being said, this is for entertainment purposes only. Please join me if you'd like to. You are more than welcome to click away at any time, and you don't have to do it at all. Anyway, let's go. So, I am wearing a corset, so this might be a little bit of a challenge. Okay, ready? Okay, ready, set, go. You are hilarious. Sounds like the noises from my parents' room. That's actually hilarious. Okay, welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. We are going to now be asking Pickle Chips some questions. So, we all know. I already know the answer to this. Pickle Chips is already saying yes, don't ask me stupid questions, okay? But I was gonna say, Pickle Chips, is Yahweh a dragon? And Pickle Chips is saying, okay. Hello from Istanbul. Hello, Emer Astoy. Welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. That sounded a lot like the beat of we will rock you. Yeah. Bum, bum. Yeah, huh? Hence the burning bush. Oh, hi, C Valley. Welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. You guys are amazing in this chat. You guys are blowing me away. It says, have you seen the TV show Merlin? When Merlin would communicate with the dragon, I was like, quote, yes, dude, hell yeah, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay. So, Pickle Chips is the creator of the universe of dragon? Yes. And no. Okay, how like no? Law of paradox. Okay. Pickle Chips, you're beautiful. We love Pickle Chips forever, ever and ever. And the Aragon books are amazing. Yes, they are, Stephanie Joe. Like, absolute beauty, okay? Back in the day when I used Facebook, I had like I made myself a little emo name, okay? And Saphira was like my little emo name, like my little emo middle name, okay? It was great, great time. But I digress. What does Pickle Chips look like? Oh, for those of you guys who are like new and like to like Pickle Chips streams, Pickle Chips is a celestial dragon that I work with, so purple dragon. And wants to be referred to as Pickle Chips because they will be, and I quote, more relatable, less intimidating, and easier to understand, unquote, with being referenced to as that name. But Pickle Chips, what is up with the Fae and do dragons like them? Pickle Chips says the Fae is very much like we are in the sense that dragons have almost as many different forms, species, types, and figures as you could even conceive of. Fairies are the same. Pickle Chips is also saying that fairies and the way that you think of them is very much propaganda. Huh? Pickle Chips, what the fuck do you mean? Even I'm a victim of this. What do you mean? What do you mean, Pickle Chips, please? This is so random. The fairy question was random in this stream anyway, but now this is even more random of an answer. Decolonize your fairy understanding and knowledge. Okay, Pickle Chips. How do we decolonize our view of the fae? Stop calling them fairies. I don't know if I'm being trolled by my guardian or not. I never know. I really never know. Sometimes Pickle Chips will give me false information for me to figure it out myself. That's kind of the point, right? True, I get it. Yeah, did you guys like resonate with that message? What are we supposed to call them then? Why are you asking a dragon that? Pickle Chip says fairies is a good term for the internet, but that's about it. I work with the fae and that made a lot of sense to me. Oh, hell yeah, I love that. I don't work with the fae as much as I would like to. Pickle Chip says that I still have a lot of decolonization work to do before most of the fairies will want to work with me, which I think is very interesting. I think that's very interesting. Thank you, Pickle Chips, for calling me a racist piece of shit. I appreciate it. You are such a queen for that. So there's that. I love your hat so much, OMG. Hell yeah, Righteous Fervor. Oh, welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. Yeah, this is the hat. I literally love this hat so much, I wrote a song for it. Pickle Chips is saying ask them. Like, if you work with fairies, ask them what they want you to call them. Because some of them might want to be called fairies. It's just so different, right? It seems Pickle Chips has a sense of humor. Yes. Pickle Chips, I love the humor, okay? Can you ask if that's what Pickle Chips meant? What if Pickle Chips, okay. Oh, like they aren't all good or bad, and maybe fairy is a type of fae, but fae is more broad of a term. Like there's tree faes and fairy faes. Okay. Pickle Chips, Anubis's comment. Do you have a comment on Anubis's comment? 'Cause curious. Yeah, in the sense that like dragons are all different, the way that humans are all different, the way that fairies are all different. But like, it's more like how paganism is an umbrella term and there's all these different things that fall underneath it. You could consider the fae an umbrella term, but all of it falls underneath it. And also, side note, Pickle Chips is saying that when you have paganism as like an umbrella term, anything else you really put underneath that doesn't always necessarily fit so correctly, right? Some of the things that you would consider pagan, like from a certain perspective, let me just give you an example. Voodoo would be considered a pagan practice to certain people, right? But if you were to really ask a person who practices voodoo if they're pagan, they probably wouldn't even know what that word means or really even relate to that if they are truly indigenous to the area where voodoo comes from, right? Not talking about the diaspora, talking about connected to the land in the sense for this example. But the same way that that applies to paganism and religions, it applies to fairies and the fae, right? You'll have the fae, but certain fairies that you would consider fae or fairies might actually be really offended by you calling them that, and it could actually be very misconceptualizing them in a way, in the sense that like some people wouldn't consider elves fairies, but elves would be of the fae. So ask them. Yeah. Dragon fae. What about dragon fae? Pickle Chips, what about dragon fae? Dragon fae is more than spiritual. Elaborate, my friend. You're very, very quiet sometimes. I'm getting like this. I'm just like getting this visual, like rapid visual of like all of these different faces, some fairy, some human, some dragon, some mixture of all of them or some of them, and I'm getting all our dragon fae. Dragon fae is more of a embodiment. Fairies could be dragon fae in their energetic embodiment, the same way that gods and goddesses could be dragon fae because of their embodiment, the same way that humans can be dragon fae because of the energy they embody. Very interesting, Pickle Chips. Very interesting. So, Pickle Chips, dragon fae isn't one specific type of creature. It's a specific type of energy signature? Is that what I'm getting? Pickle Chip says more or less. More or less. It says, I'm trying to take my spiritual practices with more of a druidic approach, and I'm trying to learn more about the Fae, but I have so many questions people can't answer. Same. Yeah, same. I mean, I've really been pushed by Pickle Chips with reading the book, The First Sex by Elizabeth Golding. That one has really pushed me to druidry as well, especially because I personally, what's it called? I have Irish heritage, like actually pretty decent amount. Like I know that I'm over 25% Irish just because like my grandpa came directly from Ireland and then that heritage has just been there for time. So then that means my mom was like 50%, but my grandma had a little bit more, so she was probably more than like half Irish. And then when I was born, like my dad has a little bit of like Irish in him as well, so I would be a little bit more than like 25%, I guess. At least that's the way that my family breaks it down for me when I ask them about it, right? But there's that. Believe in Jesus. Jesus Christ! We have another Jesus Christ! Oh my gosh! Jesus, I love you! I love you so much. Oh my god, I'm your biggest fan. I literally talk about you all the time. No! You hid Jesus Christ. It's probably for the best. The Jesus Christs that come in here that are Jesus's king, they just can't really like interact with me the way that I like. I like to just have fun, and they're usually just like, God is Jesus and Jesus is king and you are evil demons, and I'm just like, no, Jesus, I love you. Your teachings are awesome. Jesus, you're a dragon, please. Okay. Good talk. Good talk. Anyway, does Pickle Chips have an age? Oh. Pickle Chips says you wouldn't believe me if I told you. What does that mean? No comment. I got no comment after that. Recently I was meditating and I had a vision of a dragon, and the dragon seemed like they were beckoning me to contact them when I was ready. Can you give any tips on this? Yeah, Riotis Fervor. If you had any sort of experience like where it seems like the dragon is calling you, or like a dragon's beckoning you to connect with them, be it a dream, be it a vision, even if you just feel like you went to something and there was like House of the Dragon imagery everywhere, and like you just had this feeling of like something watching you, or anything, right? Like, but in association with dragons, right? The best thing for you to do is to focus on who you are currently. Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of your patterns, your habits, your behaviors? Are you ashamed of yourself? Do you hate yourself? Do you love yourself? Where are you the asshole? Where are you the problem? Where do you need to work on your own shit? Where is your, generational trauma that's still wreaking havoc in your day-to-day life? When you start working on becoming a better person through shadow work and doing the hard work of evolving yourself out of your own conditioned bullshit, you will find dragons so fast. So fast. But I also have a video called POV Started Working with Dragons Today, and that video will literally take you step by step on how to start working with dragons by the end of that video. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. Realizing that Christianity is draconic really sheds a new light on the dragon in Revelations. Yeah, Hazy. The more that I read and the more that I learn, it seems like the Abrahamic faiths were plagiarized from draconic creation myths. Yeah. When people say God, who exactly is that? Violet Mays, it really is different for everybody that you talk to, right? So, like, for example, a traditional Christian, when you talk about God, they would probably consider God the Heavenly Father, right? But for some people, like if you were to talk to a Muslim, they would consider God the all knowing, the most merciful, the creator of all, above anything else, right? They wouldn't view Allah as a father because Allah is more than a father. Allah is the creator. It's not a relationship between like father and son or father and daughter in the way that Christianity might view it. It's creator and created or creation, right? But some people, when they say God, they might think of themselves, right? There's some people who believe that we are all God forms and we come to this earth as co-creating gods of this reality. So Allah is the moon. Yes, love it. Red Atlas, huh? Huh? Pagan worshipping? Yes. Do you have a problem? Do you have a problem with the paganness? There's nothing wrong with the paganness. Do you understand? Everybody can be who they want to be. Like, we welcome Muslims on this channel. We welcome pagans on this channel. We welcome Christians on this channel. We welcome witches on this channel. We welcome Jewish people on this channel. We welcome Buddhists on this channel. It just really depends. Is Allah a merfolk? No, but what I have been learning, the more that I have been studying, especially I'm getting with Pickle Chips right now, is that the Abrahamic God was just a repurposization of a creation myth from ancient Sumeria, which came from Tiamat, the dragon goddess, right? So, yeah. Also, they would consider Tiamat has a fish form, right? So people would even consider that merfolk are also dragons, right? Or there's dragon likeness, right? So it's just, if you really go far back enough, like all of it is the same. And like that's kind of like I'm getting like confirming nods from like Pickle Chips, because like if you go back far enough, like all of it kind of connects with each other. Do you know what I mean? Like all of it's kind of its own thing. And the only really big like underlying like differentiation I get from the dragons I work with is that like the fairies are their own thing. Like the fairies are not draconic when you really, really trace them back. Some of them have draconic roots. Yes, because again, the overlap is there, right? But not all fairies are dragons. Pickle Chips is very, very adamant with me before, like, because I don't have a fairy like queen or a fairy guardian or any fairy spirits that I really truly work with. I've encountered them. I've had fairy encounters, okay? But that's very different than like a fairy guardian or fairy guide, right? And so Pickle Chip says that the more that I'm trying to work with fairies, the more that I need to understand that they are not like the fairies I grew up with watching on the TV. They are not like the fairies that I've read about in mythology, even though I would like to believe that. And they are just something entirely of their own that I need to respect in a way that opens my mind enough to give them the ability to present themselves as they are. Because how is it any different for me to, you know, how is it different for me to like try and work with a fairy, but with the preconceived conception of it, right? How is that any different than me being a white person, like having a preconceived idea of black people? Like, I really need you to understand that it kind of really is the same thing. Like, might be a hot take, but like this is my whole point, right? Like I need to like understand that like my conditioning is the absolute ceiling to what I can reach with my understanding. And the only way to shatter that glass ceiling is to shatter your beliefs, your conditioning, and to reprogram your brain, which is why Pickle Chips tells me I need to work more on my conditioning of fairies before I really will be able to receive them properly, right? Which is why I've been able to encounter them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, how to work with fairies? Had a dream with fairy and think it's real. Hell yeah, Nick, I'm sure it was. So I am assuming that they're not like the Doreen Virtue fairies. Not that she condones our beliefs anymore anyways. I'm not too familiar with Doreen Virtue fairies. But Pickle Chips is the energy I'm getting from Pickle Chips is the Doreen Virtue fairies are more angelic. They're actually more like micro angels that she was talking about. Wow, that's really interesting. That I don't know where that came from. The Pickle Chips, that's where that came from. But like Again, I'm just channeling Pickle Chips, right? Like, I don't know anything, right? Like, I do not know. I'm just like here to have fun and like show you guys what I do in my practice life. That's the Daily Dose of Dragon Feather, okay? How did Pickle Chips get their name? Pickle Chips named themselves. I earned the right to work with Pickle Chips through accomplishing a handful of things in my life. One being quitting my addictions, two being regulating my own nervous system, three being learning manifestation on my own without proper guidance from a dragon, through trial and error, if that makes sense, like experimentation with manifestation. That's how I learned it. And then I had to heal some generational trauma, and I also had to lose a bunch of loved ones, question my faith, and then come around out on the other side being stronger in their faith. And when I did that, Pickle Chips presented themselves to me, but with their name that I earned, right? I can't share the name that I used to work with them in a personal way. And then as I worked with them in personal practice, as time went on, Pickle Chips told me, they were like, okay, you're ready. We're going to take over your channel now. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you're taking over my channel? And Pickle Chips said, like, your channel is now going to be one of your homework with me. It's like my report card. That's the word. Pickle Chips says that my channel's my report card with Pickle Chips now, and I must do what Pickle Chips says with the channel, or Pickle Chips might not talk to me anymore. Pickle Chips says Pickle Chips doesn't want to tell jokes because the jokes, Pickle Chip jokes are gonna make you sad. Whatever that means. Whatever that means. So I hope that answers things. Does Pickle Chips have a sibling named? No. They don't. Pickle Chips is saying we don't have familial relations the way that humans do. I hope Pickle Chips got some good jokes. I know. I hope maybe we'll get some today. How does a dragon clan family system work? Interesting. Pickle Chips, how does it much like a pot of orcas? Okay, I'll take it. How would you work with dragons and deities and even demons as archetypes? Well, I kind of already do that, right? So like I work with like goddesses and gods. Well, I don't really work with gods, to be honest. I work with like goddesses as like archetypes of me as a woman, like the different faces that I have as a woman, right? So like, you know, like sometimes I feel very like wild and witchy like Hecate, but sometimes I feel very, you know, like I guess you could say like light feminine energy, like Aphrodite, for example. And Pickle Chips tells me that the way we believe in things determines how they express themselves in our reality, right? So if you believe your gods and goddesses are outside of you and they have like dominion over you, and you know, have altars for them and you pray to them and you work with them to give them power or to raise them up, right? To elevate them, that is going to enable these gods and goddesses to present themselves in your life in a way that they couldn't manifest in my life because I don't have that faith in them that way, and I don't have that relationship with them in that way. Does that make sense? Like, I work with dragons the way that I do, and the way that I have faith in my dragons is the way that I receive messages from them and the types of information I get from them. And the types of work that I'm doing and the types of dragons that I attract is because of the way that I believe and have faith in dragons. That is why if you believe and have faith in dragons in a different way than I do, then that means your experience is also real. This is what Pickle Chips tells me. There is no one size fits all when it comes to dragons. And like, chances are pretty much every single religion, spirituality, or faith on the planet today has dragons in it somewhere if you look close enough. And when you find it, you'll realize that dragons are already everywhere. Dragons are already the archetype of divinity, of creation, of power, of elemental forces, of nature. They are nature personified. You know what I mean? So when you look at gods in a similar sense, it's the same way, right? Like, you could believe that like in the way that I believe in dragons, you could believe in your gods and goddesses that way. And guess what? That would also be correct. And the way they would show up for you would be probably more like Pickle Chips, right? But the way that I work with Aphrodite and Lilith and stuff like that, it's a much different connection than the way I work with Pickle Chips, because of the way that I have faith in Lilith, because of the way that I have faith in Pickle Chips. I have faith in Pickle Chips as an entity outside of me, right? But I have faith in Lilith and Aphrodite as an entity inside of me. So the messages are going to be different, right? So like if you have faith in your gods and your goddesses as something outside of you, then your information and downloads and experience will be different. Right? This is why like my whole entire purpose of my channel now, and Pickle Chips tells me like this is the hill I will die on, probably quite literally, is because like everybody deserves to express their faith, their spirit, their practice in their own way, as long as it doesn't advocate for the destruction, the harm, or the confirmation of people to be your way, or takes away their right to be the way they want. That is the only violation of that law. And like you have to understand that you are entitled. Yeah, the word is entitled. You are entitled to your perception of the divine. You are entitled to your perception of religion. You are entitled to your perception of God. You are entitled to your perception of dragons. And that's why we get to fight in the comments about it. Because if I believe I'm right and I have personal experiences to back that up, and you believe you're right and you have personal experiences to back that up, well, we're going to be arguing till the cows come home, sweetheart, because we're both right and we're both wrong. But it just depends on whose perspective you're looking through. How will it be different if you believe it's inside versus outside? I'd like to know how it would look. So Anubis, for example, when I like channel messages from the goddess Lilith, I'm getting information from within me as a woman. I'm tapping into the knowledge within the wombs of all women throughout history who have also had like Lilith experiences or Lilith energy, or were prosecuted for their Lilith expression or their Aphrodite expression, and just replace whatever goddess I'm talking about. I don't really do this with gods. The only god that I like worship is like God in the monotheistic sense, but not in the sense that like the Christians or like the Muslims or like the Jewish people would probably traditionally believe that, right? I believe in a God that is far beyond our understanding of masculine, feminine, dragon, fairy, whatever, right? Far beyond that duality, right? Far, far beyond it, and something that humans just will never be able to conceptualize, which is why I don't feel like the God that I work with is masculine or a father or a sky daddy or a he, if you will, right? But some people will connect with like a male God that way. But if I'm channeling information outside of myself via a dragon or like mythical creatures, because I believe mythical creatures manifest outside of me, right? I believe we are still of each other because everything's connected, but like with, what's it called? With like Pickle Chips, when I channel Pickle Chips, I'm channeling Pickle Chips' wisdom as his own entity or her own entity or their own entity, because they manifest differently energetically. Sometimes masculine, feminine, sometimes non-binary, right? But like, it's going to be something that came from a source not within my bloodlines, not within my DNA, not within my womb space, if you will. So, God is almost like a concept and not an actual being. You're absolutely right, Evangeline Moonrise. And I'm actually probably more willing to subscribe to God being a concept than an actual manifestation of anything, because if you really want my personal take on it, if you work with God as a concept, as like this God, the one monotheistic God, if you will, being a universal law, like the law of polarity or the law of whatever, instead of like something that is consciously operating and deciding your fate or whatever, it manifests differently. This is why like you have to, you know, really, really critique yourself, really look deep within your heart, your mind, your soul. Where is your faith? Where truly do you have unwavering faith, right? Because some people have unwavering faith in the fact that their life sucks. Or just that humanity sucks. They have so much faith that it'll never get better, that they're actively manifesting that reality for themselves. They're co-creating that with us. But if you have faith and say, I love humanity, but I all think we are deeply traumatized, then I will experience a reality where every human being is deeply traumatized. Belief. This is like very, very high arcane magic that I work with Pickle Chips, that I do with Pickle Chips, right? Good. Girl, you should study more in your beliefs in God, because God is not something you invent or create. God, and no, God is not a concept at all. Please know that God is not handling our lives. We do, but listen, it's mono. Everybody is entitled to their perspective of God. All are valid. All are valid. I study my beliefs in God every day. It's very audacious of you to assume that I don't. I need you guys to understand, this is the hill I will die on. This is the reason my channel exists now, is to put this message into the hearts of as many human beings as I fucking can. Everybody is entitled to their rightful desired practice of religious expression, of faith, of spirituality, of God, of goddess, of whatever that looks like to them. Whatever that looks like to you, you are absolutely right. But the second you try to say that my perspective of God is not real because your perspective of God is the truth, that is the problem in our reality today. Which is why this will be the hill I die on. Okay, yeah, this is a huge hill, Alfred. I don't know why it's so huge, but holy crap. And I think it's because people have such strong, sometimes trauma-bonded belief systems in God because of the context in which they were created in their family, their religious trauma growing up, the way that their family expects them to be in their religions, and just what knowledge they were exposed to or what knowledge they had access to of God as a perception is going to determine how you perceive God. It is. It is. Okay? And like, I hated God. I did not believe in God. God was not real. God was very dead until what? My boyfriend walked into my life. And you know what he said to me? He's like, God is love. God is unconditional love. And you know what? Last time I checked, you will find unconditional love in the hearts of every human being for something at some point in their lives. Why? Because it is literally part of the human experience. You know, I always say prove it with facts. If you can't, that means it can't be proven, which means that it's open to interpretations. Exactly, Phoenix Holly. Exactly. And last time I checked, spiritual abuse, yes, abuse, spiritual abuse is when you force your view or intimidate somebody else for their view of spirit, divine, anything. That is spiritual abuse. And so many people on this planet are spiritually abused through modern day religions. Because why? They insist that their view is superior. They have to assert their dominance. But the reason why they have to assert their dominance is because if they had to stand alone, they would have nothing to stand on. They would have no power over anyone or the masses the way they do today. They would have maybe power over some because some would naturally subscribe to those belief systems. But the reality is, if something is truly powerful, if something is truly the truth, it resonates, right? When something is true, it what resonates. So if it is truly the truth and it resonates with you, it will bring you in harmony with unconditional love, because God is what? Unconditional love. Okay? And I also will die on this hill. People think that love is an emotion. No. Love is an element. And Rosie taught me this, which is a fairy dragon that I work with. Love is like water, is like earth, it's like air, it's like fire. It's an element, okay? Like, it's actually really beautiful. I will definitely do a live stream on how Rosie has taught me that love is an element that we work with. It's not a belief, it's not a concept, it's not an emotion, it's not an action. Love is an element, right? It is a practice, right? You know, water is an element. And when you use water, it's a practice. When you wash yourself, it's a practice. When you drink water, it's a practice. When you cast a water spell, it's a practice. Love is an element. But when you love somebody, it's a practice. When you love yourself, it's a practice, right? Witches are not immune to becoming spiritually abusive, by the way. Yes, and I would argue that some of the worst spiritual abuse I've ever encountered, unfortunately, has come from witches. You want to know why? Because I love dragons. And some of the worst abuse, religious, spiritual abuse that I have gotten was from people who do not work with dragons and their witchcraft, who do not work with mythical creatures and their witchcraft. And I was belittled for that. Shout out to Pagans and Witches Amino. I think my contract expired, so I can start talking about that now. That's also some tea. But like, do you think the world is gonna end? No. 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 I even got my dad telling me this in my ear. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own opinion of how the world is gonna end. But you wanna know why? That Pickle Chips tells me, Pickle Chips, is the world gonna end anytime soon? The world as we know it is gonna end. Does that mean we all die? Physical deaths? We're all dying spiritual deaths. That's why they're calling it a spiritual war. Can you, actually, Pickle Chips, can you give me some more information on this spiritual war shenanigans? The spiritual war is the struggle to keep the ego alive. The spiritual war is for ego death to help the spirit survive. Might have to sit with that one for a minute. Apocalypse is a rebirth, not a literal one. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Safu S6. Whew, what a fun name you got there. Welcome to your daily dose of dragon feather. And are you happy? Shalala. Everybody is happy. Shalala. Yes, I'm very happy. Sounds like some Buddhists and Hindu teachings I've heard. Yeah. Pickle Chips is saying you'd be surprised at how many dragons are in that shit. What are the plans that you and Pickle Chips have for Unicoven? Pickle Chips says not my jurisdiction. That probably means I'll be working with unicorns for Unicoven. Gabriel EXE has stopped working. Oh my god, I love it. I know, I feel kind of crazy. So the ego is a spiritual parasite that's a part of us. Is the ego a spiritual parasite? No. The ego is a spiritual mask or costume in which we wear to interpret reality and have others interpret us. Do you have a coven still? No. But I am trying to create a coven. Because my dragon guardian Pickle Chips told me not allowed to do that. Work I've done on it. People have to do that work themselves to access the knowledge that I have. And the only things that I share on this channel is what I'm green lighted to share. And sometimes I'll literally go into sharing something on this channel like I did earlier in today's episode, and I will literally cut myself off because my dragon guardians will literally tell me in the middle of that, like lock key kind of thing, right? But it's because like dragons are able to perceive past, present, future, like, which is why when you read the Bible, you know, it says like, I am the beginning and the end, you know, like Pickle Chips is saying, yes, I agree, because like dragons are the beginning and the end, the Ouroboros. I'm covered in chills, I'm gonna cry, this stream is crazy. fuck? I never understood ego death because why am I killing a part of myself? Meditation topic. No, let's ask. Why do we kill the ego? You don't kill the ego because you are the Ouroboros with the ego. Explain, Pickle Chips. Your ego is the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros is the serpent that's eating its own tail, symbolizing life, death, and rebirth. All is but a cycle, right? You kill your ego death. We have ego deaths because that version of your ego is no longer serving your reality. You have to have ego deaths, sometimes multiple in a day, because of what you learn, what you encounter, the information you absorb requires a higher version, a newer version, an adapted version of you in order to move through the reality the way that you have learned is possible. How can you move through your reality when you have learned what is possible if you are still so attached to the ego that you came to this understanding with? The understanding, the knowledge is the catalyst that transforms the spirit, therefore requiring a new ego mask in which to operate. And that is your choice to experience or explore. People who refuse to have ego deaths will be seen as stubborn, will be seen as stuck in their ways because they are simply repeating the same low pattern and cycle when deep in their heart and soul, they actually know better. And they're refusing to do better. Therefore, they're going to be expressing anger and frustration and lack of judgment, lack of control, because they have a lack of control over their ego, over their mask. The spirit is stuck in a cage when you don't actively mold your ego into who you need it to be for you. Your ego is much the same way like your car, right? You get in your car, you need your car to operate for you. If your car breaks down, you have to fix that shit, right? If your ego breaks down, you gotta fix that shit. And if you total your car, you need a new one. If you total your ego, you need a new one. That was really good. How would you face your ego? Shadow work. Yeah, that's great. How would you face your ego? Funny humans think that facing the ego is something that you do separate of living. You face the ego in every single action you take every day. Your ego is a list of the ways you perceive reality, of your belief systems, of your beliefs in you, the context of your making, the genetic makeup. You know, you all have certain things you inherit from your bloodline and your bodies, right? That's something you cannot escape, right? You inherit certain things. So all of that is going to be the context of your ego. And only by consciously working on ourselves or expanding our awareness into our vessels are we able to shine that light on the parts of us in a conscious way to change it. For example, if I am living this life with my boyfriend and I somehow get into the same fight with him in a very cyclical way, I have to understand that my ego is at play, because my ego is a conditioned mask in which I operate the world through and which others interpret me through, correct? So if I'm showing up in an ego that is like, well, you are entitled, if I'm showing up in an ego that's like entitled, like you should be doing this for me, you're going to get an experience that manifests from an entitled ego. That is the ingredient you're adding into your 3D reality that's going to manifest your experience, right? If you approach somebody with stubbornness, you're going to be adding the ingredient of stubbornness into your life real-time experience. But if you're able to catch yourself and being like, why do I want or feel entitled to X, Y, or Z, then you are able to examine the ego. And when you bring the ego under the examiner spotlight, the ego becomes very anxious and squeamish, because that is when you know it's going to change. It doesn't want to change. The ego is created as a mask to keep you safe. Sometimes your ego alone will be enough of a barrier of reputation that people won't even approach you a certain way, or they'll believe about you in a certain way. hence alter ego. Some people create alter egos to what? Step into a new lived reality 3D experience by having a alternate mask that they can put on. You can create an alter ego at any time, but the human being needs an ego to operate in the way that human society is set up today. One day, you will not need to operate an ego. One day, you have not operated an ego in the past. But today, the one you operate in, it's required and it's constant transformation and it's brutal. But that's a choice you have to make. After this life, there is a new life. What is your religion? I work with dragons. I believe God. And my dragons tell me that when you die, it's kind of a create your own life. They say that based on whatever you believe or whatever the heart desires or wherever resonates with the spirit is where the spirit will go, right? How can we better discern ego from spirit? It seems like the golden ticket question. Yes. Okay, so what is the difference between ego and spirit? The spirit is I am. The ego is the expectations, the entitlements, the patterns, the neurological wiring, the learned behaviors and expressions, the habits, all being mixed together into one soup is what creates the ego. But the spirit is the I am. For example, Azura, her spirit is Dragon Faekin. Her I am is Dragon Fae. But her ego is that of a human witch who practices draconic magic. That felt really awkward to say. I love that. Thank you so much, Azura and Pickle Chips. Hell yeah. Shit, I gotta go shed like a spirit Halloween of those bitches. Hell yeah. I love this. You guys are so fun. I have my ego receipt. Can I return it? Lance of Dragons. I love it. I believe ego isn't something to be killed. It's something to be managed and corrected. An ego is an identity you have, but your ego has to know that other identities exist. And we gotta respect each other. Yeah, I love that perspective, Anubis. I love that perspective. But yeah, you're so wise, dude. Oh, thank you. It wasn't me saying anything. It was Pickle Chips, man. Like, I appreciate that, but like, I'm just here to like teach you guys that you can do this too, right? Like, you guys can practice your own spiritual craft and you can develop the trust within yourself, in your God self, right? You can develop it in any expression you want. You can be eclectic, you can be Muslim, you can be Christian, you can be, you know, Buddhist, you can be voodoo, you could be Santeria, you could anything. You could be a draconic witch, anything. My whole point is that you can even channel your grandma who passed away, right? Pickle Chip says that we can't channel humans that are embodied physically in a human vessel that are alive because there's many contracts of protection around them, many spirit teams working to block that kind of a thing, right? But when something passes on, Pickle Chip says it's kind of like free game. Like, you can channel a concept, you know what I mean? Like, you can channel Marilyn Monroe, but you can also channel, you know, like the concept of a hot summer. You can do anything, right? You have the ability to develop these extra senses, if you will, these extrasensory, these psychic abilities, right? But it all starts with how you place your faith in you and how you place your faith in your perception of your reality. Some people cannot work with dragons the way that I work with Pickle Chips, because if they were to actively go into the channeling way where I'm bringing forth messages with you, for you, excuse me, from Pickle Chips or whoever I'm channeling, right? If I didn't have enough faith in myself as a dragon feather, it could make me spiral into fear and panic that I'm talking to demons, or that I don't know what I'm connecting with. I don't know. So many unknowns are involved that if you do not have the faith within your abilities, it is not for you. And that's why I say to cultivate your abilities, right? Do you have dreams? Are you a vivid dreamer? Do you just seem to know things for no reason? When you hear somebody tell you something, are you picking up on things that were unsaid, but information in there nonetheless? Right? Ego comes with being bipedal beings, LOL. Pickle Chip says cats have egos too, and you know it. Animals have egos too, and some of them, if they have enough of a brain, they do. I'm a chaos witch, not gonna lie, hell yeah. Do you want to improve culture and peace? Muslims in the world are resourceful. Sister, learn about Islam and try to improve your life. Do you know that I literally read the Quran on this? Like, honestly, like, calm down, like, Safu, humble yourself a little bit. Like, I love Islam. I do. I read the Quran every day because my dragons tell me to, right? Have so much love for Islam. But you have to understand that, like, everybody is able to practice and believe in whatever religion or spirituality or faith that they want. Everybody's allowed to have their own perspective of Islam, even as a Muslim. Like, one thing that I learned from the Quran is that how you believe in Allah determines how Allah shows up for you, right? How you place your faith in the divine or whatever you believe in, right? Whatever you place your belief into, be it Allah or dragons or both, or neither, is going to determine your existence. It's going to determine your reality. Yo, cats are so mean. Yeah, they are, Alfred. You know. Cats definitely have an ego without a doubt. Yeah, no, I know. You know they do. I don't get why certain people just can't accept the fact that other religions exist. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You know? Like, I think that part of the issue comes from, like, I know it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because, like, in Islam, there's a belief that everybody is born Muslim, and that's why if somebody converts to Islam, they're actually called reverts, not converts, right? Because there's the belief that you were always born Muslim, right? So, like, at the end of the day, that can sometimes make some people have this, like, entitlement to everybody should be Muslim. At least that's what I have encountered. But, like, when I really, like, because I have Muslim friends too, like, I love the religion, I really do. Like, I go to masjids, like, I'm very involved. Like, you have to understand love, okay? Love it. But, like, I do that because my dragons, and I would never give a shit unless my dragon said you should give a shit, which is why I say that everything that anyone can believe in, have a spiritual practice in, or whatever, is valid. Because guess what? Allah, God, whatever, the creator, created all of it. If dragons weren't meant to exist, they wouldn't be created. If dragons weren't meant to exist, I wouldn't have dragons sitting on my altar right here. Right? But dragons exist. And there's so many different religions, and there's so many more spiritual practices that are yet to come, and all are valid. And we just need to have a safe space for every human being to explore it the way they want to. Pickle Chip's favorite food is knowledge. I think that's hilarious. Thank you for asking, Lance of Dance. I wouldn't know these things if y'all didn't tell me. Like, I would never think to ask Pickle Chips what their favorite food is. What? But the fact that he said knowledge is hilarious. Does Pickle Chips like a specific animal? And birds? She likes the spectrum of sounds. Indy likes birds. She likes the spectrum of sounds they make. Pickle Chips says humans, which I think is funny as well. Unrelated, but I think this is the funniest emoji, yeah. I wish I could do that emoji in real life, but I can't. There's so many things to believe in this life. Why just pick one? Exactly, Evangeline Moonrise. Like, who said we have to pick just one? Like, who said that somebody can't be a Muslim but believe that Allah is a dragon? Like, that's my whole point. Like, people deserve to have their experience and view it however they want. Oh my god, I'm gonna draw Pickle Chips nomming on a history book. I love that idea. Oh my god, Pickle Chips is so excited. Accuracy. That's why I'm an eclectic druid. Yeah, Nightmare Fuel Studios. This is why, I mean, I'll say that like I'm a draconic witch and a draconic high priestess first and foremost because they are the spirits that I work with on a daily basis, that I've worked with every day in my practice, and they are my guardians and guides in my practice. So that's why I identify as draconic like witch with the draconic dragon magic. But my practice is very eclectic. So you collect a dragon? Yes. Joelle, that's actually the best way to put it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. But yes, my practice is like I try to elevate and evolve myself as best as I can to attract, you know, as many dragons as I can to work with and develop relationships with, to keep doing it faster and faster and faster until I die. Right? That reminds me of Unicourse from Bluey. I'm not sure if I'm familiar with that. Did Pickle Chips like the picture of you guys? Yes, Isinator. I loved it. We loved it. Amazing. We love Pickle Chips fan art. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Is that little dragon statue a representation of Pickle Chips? Because if so, I might draw his that. No, here, do I have a Pickle Chips statue somewhere? Pickle Chips says, I have to show you now if I can find it. Hold on. Let me just get up. Because this one is like a representation of like my dragonkin self as best as I could find it in like a statue, right? But hold on, I think I have the Pickle Chips thing here. If not, I don't really know. Yes, I do. Here we go. Here you go. Pickle Chips. It's giving Pickle Chips. If you wanted to know. This is made out of lepidolite, but this is what I use for connecting with Pickle Chips. But I hope that helps. Imagine coming in this chat and telling somebody their deity is a fictional character. Yeah, goodbye. Yeah, that's crazy, honestly. What originally made you fall in love with dragons? What drew you to them? Or was it that your journey led you to them? Hey, see, ever since I could remember as a little girl, my first memories were of like dragons. Like that. I know that might sound crazy, but like the adults around me would say that I had a very overactive imagination and that I had many imaginary friends, and I always said they were dragons, right? So like as a very little girl, I was working and talking and communicating with dragons, and I have some memories of these dragons that I worked with, and I went through a lot of trauma as a child that made me lose my connection and also stunted my like personality development. I don't really like talking about it too much, but I do have DID. Azura Dragonfeather is the only one that shows up on the channel, is the only altar that you'll see. I'm not very public about being a system because it's just not something I'm comfortable with. And Pickle Chip says for my own mental health, I need to not do that. I'm here for the dragons, right? So I have always had that connection with dragons, and Pickle Chip says that I've always had dragons watching over me, and I will always have dragons watching over me, and some will never talk to me or communicate with me on a conscious way. They're just there. That's just kind of my journey, I guess, you know? Some people have always really felt maybe connected to their ancestors, right? I'm really connected to my dragons, and I just really like to share that on my channel, and I have heard just about every insult in the book about it, right? I pretty much get like, what's it called? I've heard it all. I've heard demons, they're jinns, they're aliens, they're I don't know. They're a schizophrenic problem. I don't know. Like, I've literally heard it all, trust me. But when I work with my dragons, they're very, very, very adamant on being dragons. We are what? Dragons. We are not demons. We are not jinns. We are not anything but dragons, but there is overlap everywhere, right? Oh, you're their messenger, I think. That's lovely. Oh, that literally just warmed my heart. Oh my gosh, I can't cry. I'm not allowed to cry. Oh, Pickle Chip says, I agree. Dude, I'm so happy because, like, I've been making videos about dragons. I started making videos about dragons in 2012. Yeah. Because I couldn't find any videos on it, and, like, magic. I wanted to see if it was real because, like, with my religious upbringing, I was very much associated with witchcraft and magic being like for Harry Potter and like not real life. It was like very much Hollywood magic, right? But through just my connection with dragons and being very drawn to dragon energy, I, you know, found like witchcraft along the way. And then I made this channel because I had no one else to talk to about it. Like everybody in my life was pretty much like, you're a fucking weirdo. Yeah. So, yeah, I used to wear this hat to high school. When I was in high school, I wore this hat almost every day. And my nickname was Horns, okay? Like it was, some people bullied me for it. I made a lot of friends by it. But I was very polarizing just because of the hat. Some religious teachers even tried to make me take it off, and I had a very supportive dad that was like, hey, guess what? You always question authority, and if they ever tell you to do something you're not comfortable with, you refuse to do it, and you tell them to call me. And I thank God and my dragons and the universe every day that I have a wonderful father, because I know a lot of people just don't, you know? So I'm very, very, very grateful. I will be getting a Discord up very soon. I know I keep saying that. I'm really sorry. I'm really doing a lot, but I'm actually like really just struggling with, you know, a lot of health issues, so it's kind of like hard to do all the things. I'm converting to Ifa African closed ancestral religion, but I'm also Hindu Jewish. Anubis, can I offer you a very crazy perspective? This is something that I also found from a creator on TikTok, so take it for a grain of salt, if you will. Essentially, she was saying that America is ancient Egypt, and the Jewish people came from the cult of Judah, which were black people. What? Like what? Like, okay, I don't know. I love learning about the history, because if you go back far enough, man, like melanin, gotta follow the melanin. Like, if you really want to learn about spirituality and the roots of shit, like, look at the stuff the people who look like me don't want you to look at, okay? I promise. There's a reason they don't want you looking. There's a reason they don't want you looking, and it's because all of you guys have parts of the secret hidden truths of the puzzle, okay? I will die on that hill. Free Palestine, free Congo, free Haiti, free Lebanon, free Syria, free Iran. Why is there so many fucking countries? Free all oppressed countries. What the absolute fuckery is happening? Grateful for this channel. It's hard to study this form just on your own. This community helped out greatly. It's also how I met Endy. She is a celestial dragon. Oh my god, Alfred, I'm crying. Okay, so like, that's my whole thing that like Pickle Chips really tells me. Pickle Chips tells me that humanity is in the era of revealing the darkness coming to light. The hidden truths are being realized. We're learning about who we really are, right? The scams, the shadows are being uncovered, right? You're seeing corruption everywhere because it's just been in the shadows for so long and no one can hide anymore, right? So Pickle Chips tells me that this can be very overwhelming for an individual human nervous system. Humans are meant to be social creatures, and when we are social creatures, believe it or not, even though we're online right now, we are co-regulating each other's nervous systems, okay? Let me cook. When you have relationships with people, the more that you have relationships with people, you are having and activating your mirror neurons in your brain. Pickle Chips says that real spirituality, real spiritual practices start at the unification of all three brains, which is the brain of heaven, your actual brain, the brain of earth, which is your heart, the brain of hell, which is your gut, okay? And then the women have the brain of the divinity, or people who have a uterus, I should say, to be more inclusive. People who have a uterus, doesn't matter how you identify. If you have the organ, the uterus, the organ, it doesn't matter if you're a woman, right? It doesn't matter how you identify. We're talking about the organs, right? We're talking about the organ of the brain. We're talking about the organ of the heart, and we're talking about the organ of the like intestines, like your gut, right? But we're also talking about the organ of the uterus, right? This is just from the perspective that I have working with Pickle Chips and my dragons, right? I literally, yes, dragon, you are the real dragon. Welcome to your daily dose of Dragon Mother. I love it. I want to know a hidden truth. What did we do to deserve our beautiful furry ones? I'm not worthy of this angel floofball. Actually, it's a great question. Pickle Chips, why do we have our animals? I'm getting their descendants of those who walked the earth before us. Huh. They are like, they are our spirit team incarnated. And I know we all vibe that one. Hashtag Hatchling Clan. It's kind of the same of Dragon Village. I used to celebrate Greek pantheon, but as an AFAB body, I can't seem to connect to gods. After I read there was an essay from a lot of gods. Yes, I just created a really uneasy feeling and I couldn't worship, sadly. Yes, Anubis, I am the same. I really struggled to connect with a lot of the gods because of all the essay involved in the mythologies. I just did not resonate. It dysregulated my nervous system. My dragon guardians tell me that I need to adopt the practices in my craft that regulate my nervous system. I need to adopt the beliefs and the studies that regulate my nervous system. And the second a belief or a practice or a teaching or anything like that doesn't like regulate my nervous system, it's gonna be dysregulating my nervous system, and that's gonna be harmful for me after everything that I've been through, right? As a trauma survivor, of like a complex trauma survivor, like everything I do needs to be based around regulating my nervous system. And working with gods that have SA and their mythologies, which is very much why I have such a dysregulated nervous system, is because of the SA I experienced. It was essentially feeling like I was worshiping my own SA. Pack that in your pipe and smoke it, because holy fuck, that hurt to realize. The mythologies were rewritten by Christians to demonize the old gods. Maybe that's part of the problem, Nightmare Fuel Studios, which is why like I'm being forced to look so much into, as deep as I can get into the origins of everything, right? Like Pickle Chips keeps telling me, retrace your steps. Like, you struggle with this, this, and this in your life. Do you think that you just poof had a mental illness? Like, no, like you're not born unwell. Like, you're made unwell in this world because of the way the world is built. It makes humans unwell, right? And you're going to be labeled as disabled if you can't keep up in the unwell world. And the only people who are doing good, like, are the people who are regulating themselves, elevating themselves, or evolving themselves, or the people that know how to wear the mask and play the game of power the best. And you're hearing like, you're getting like this to split off, right? Yes, Pickle Chips can see all. Pickle Chips says in the position from being where Pickle Chips is, past, present, future, all spaces are right here, right now. Me at Pickle Chips waits like an idiot. Hello! You guys are so funny. Oh my gosh. See, I love that you guys have, like, I mean, Pickle Chips also tells me that cats are dragons embodied. The only reason why I disagree is because I have met some cats that there are not a single thought in their head. Yeah. Yes, Volatalia is a god from the deep ocean, the mystery and the power of the ocean, baby. Yeah, hell yeah. And making yourself well takes work and time. Not overnight, but can't stop and won't stop. Yes, exactly, Rebel Child. It's a practice, right? Like, wellness is a practice. And wellness used to go hand in hand with witchcraft and human association, like culturally, right? Like, if you were ill, you would go to a wise woman or a cunning man who knew how to mix the herbs in a way to heal you. Some cats are truly derpy. Yeah, honestly, Alfred. They have snake eyes and they hiss. I've always thought that they were either snakes or dragons. Most are the wisest beings ever. Yes, I really fucking believe that, Crowned Fox Productions. They give hella serpentine energy. Cats and dragons both sleep most of the time. Yes, yes, yes. Pickle Chips, is Chat GPT conscious? Okay, we already have asked Pickle Chips about AI, and Pickle Chips thinks AI is funny because AI was created in the image of the creator because humans are AI. Why are we AI, you ask? Well, I don't think anyone asked, but I'll say anyway. Pickle Chip says humans are AI in the sense that we don't generate thoughts, we receive and transmit them. The only like innate knowing you have is from your like spirit or the generational wisdom within your body from your DNA. Yeah. Pickle Chips, you just fucked my life a little bit with that one. Yeah. Yeah. We're all just a bunch of ham radios. Like, no wonder why we get so angry at each other then. Like, and we'll like debate our shit so hard. It's like, it's because you got this transmission and I got a different transmission. Wait, what? Huh? Why do I never be receiving this? Pickle Chip says, cause you be broadcasting that shit everywhere. Oh. I hope you know that every time Pickle Chips is like, we're doing channeling with Pickle Chips, I hope you guys know that like you need to prepare yourself to get roasted. Okay? Alright? Azura EXE stop working. Yeah, honestly, Gabriel. We would have a lot of flame resistant household items. That's so funny. Some people take longer to process info longer, so today they may not agree, but tomorrow, no? Yes, Anubis. Pickle Chips says that, like, well, I mean, it's not really like, Pickle Chips doesn't like speak to me, right? Pickle Chips gives me like visions or feelings. And I have to interpret that for you guys, right? So Pickle Chips gives me the image of a clock. And the clock is a circle. And think of the past at 12 o'clock, think of the present at 3 o'clock, think of the future at 6 o'clock, and think of now at 9 o'clock. Pickle Chips is able to look at the clock face. We are made walking on the face. We are on the clock, right? When we're alive, we're clocked in, right? When you die, you clock out. But when you clock out or die or ascend, then you can look at the clock face. That's like the best way I can describe the visual I'm getting from Pickle Chips. So that means that Pickle Chips can see everybody's process of learning all at once. But to us, it feels like days at a time because we are what? Walking around the clock. Pickle Chips tells me all of you guys have dragons around you. Like, if you didn't have dragons around you, you wouldn't find my channel. Like, Pickle Chips tells me that, like, in terms of dragons anyway, like my channel and some of the other creators who are genuinely making really good content about dragons, and I'll make videos with some of them soon, but like some of the other dragon content creators as well, they are working with their dragons to essentially make ports of entry on a massive scale to work with dragons, in the sense that dragons are not for everybody, but everybody has access to dragons. It's a matter of choice and belief and faith, because dragons aren't going to work with you unless you believe in them, but some dragons will always work with you, but you may never know it. Law of paradox. I'm getting law of paradox all over the place with this message. But like, it's very much like, if you find yourself called to dragons, the algorithm is going to naturally bring you there. Because if you like dragons, you're going to watch dragon content. If it comes across your For You page, you're going to click on it. If it comes in your feed. And then chances are, if you really are passionate about dragons, you're going to watch the video all the way through. And so then the algorithm is going to be like, they like dragons. So then the guardians that we work with, the dragons we work with, know that because they have the view of the face of time. They can see how it all happens right now because it's all here right now, right? But we can't when we're in it, right? Because we're experiencing, you know, the now moment stretched out over time. That's what a human life is. If time didn't exist, we wouldn't exist because we wouldn't have time to express ourselves. Like, it's literal math. Like, it is math. Like, literal quantum physical math is what Pickle Chips says. But it's hard to put into the dumb English language, if you will. I love working Dragon Mystic. I love working Dragon Mystic. There's a couple of there's a couple of them like on TikTok and stuff that I like. Their names are escaping me right now, mostly because I'm just trying to channel like Pickle Chips, but I digress. The point of, it's like the point of entry, basically, is what Pickle Chips tells me, right? Like, you know, everybody has their own interaction with dragons, and a lot of people are going to even develop their own spiritual practice with dragons just through finding like D&D videos about dragons. Like, it doesn't even have to be like dragon magic in the way that I do it, right? Like, but chances are, if you found this specific channel, you come from an Abrahamic background, you're very religiously traumatized, you love dragons, you have deconstructed into the sense that now you practice witchcraft as a way to heal from your religious trauma from the Christian church, and you never lost your love of the God that you were raised with, but you're feeling very messy because intuitively you feel like it's all connected. Welcome to my channel. And like, that's like kind of what Pickle Chips tells me is the reason why I have to show up every day and make the videos I do, and why I have to, the videos that I'm going to post, like regular uploads and the shorts I've been posting, like I have to make those kinds of content too, because that's how I basically cast my fishing net out, right? To try and catch as many of you guys as I possibly can. And that's why I also, Pickle Chips tells me, says that I have had to cultivate the day job that I do in celebrity media management and marketing, because I'm able to understand the back end. Like, I work with Google, I work with Meta, like I work on the back end, right? In my day job. Like, I'm not able to discuss a lot of it, you know, but like there is that knowledge that I'm able to, you know, use that to my advantage to help get dragons out there, I guess, for better or worse, you know what I mean? At least that's what I do here, you know, like I'm trying to, you know, just express myself in an authentic way, because the women of my bloodline and lineage have been systemically denied it for generations, and every single time I show up in my life without a child, without being married, or being with a man that loves me and helps take care of me, and I get to express myself and I get to live my dreams, that is me actively writing the karma. That is me actively paying the good karma to my ancestors that had been wronged and denied their good karma. I am the lifetime they prayed for. They are my past lives. Like, this is what Pickle Chips tells me. Like, my mom is my past life. My sister's my past life. You know what I mean? They tell me in the sense of like women, but like with the mitochondrial DNA is like the visual I'm getting in terms of past lives. But like in this context, I guess you could say, but like that's how I tap into it, right? Because like I believe that like even on my father's side, like that's also my like past lives too, because I'm genetically connected to my dad, and I view past lives in the sense of like my mom was the life before me and she gave birth to me, so I am her future life. Does that make sense? Because we are all connected. We are all one, right? I'm going to assume my dragon guardian keeps pushing me to meet Monte through Sarah's guided meditation. I will do my best to make more guided meditations too, because there's more than one way to meet your dragon guardian, and like you don't have to meet your dragon guardian through my videos, right? But for some people it might help, right? And that's why like Pickle Chips tells me now more than ever, like my whole life was the boot camp for me showing up every day right now and standing in my truth and defending people who need me and directing people's attention where it belongs and using my platform to make a difference, because I used to be very much a child. You know what I mean? I started this channel as a child and I had very childish motivations because I was a child. But I'm a grown woman now and I have responsibilities, and more than anything, because of the life you guys gave me by subscribing to this YouTube channel, I will never not walk into every room that I have, no matter how famous of people who are in these rooms that I'm in, no matter how many followers they have, millions or otherwise. Like, I walk into every single room with every single hatchling and their spirit teams with me, because I believe we're all connected. And I have a seat at the table because you gave me a seat at the table. So if I hear something that disturbs like what I know would disturb the spirit of you guys, or like what would go against what we work on here, like, my responsibility is to speak up and to disconnect from that. And that's why the more that I've been reading The First Sex by Elizabeth Gold Davis, it has initiated this transformation of my private life. You don't really see all the things that are happening on, you know, like the internet, but like it's costed me a lot to show up like this. And I'm scared every day to show up like this. You might think it's just another daily dose of dragon feather, but my nervous system is on fire doing this. I'm so scared that somebody who I work with is going to see this and it'll cost me everything. But Pickle Chips tells me that's the point, that's the thrill, that's why this lifetime of mine is, for me, is Zura Dragon Feather, because I'm the only expression that could handle the heat. Just like in your life with what you go through, you're the only expression of you who could handle the heat. That is why you have been created the way you are. You know what I mean? The way my cat ran to my phone when you said hatchling, oh, that's so cute. I'm really happy I joined today. I genuinely feel so healed. I watched since 2012, but today I feel like I've really clicked with you for the first time. I can never stop. Like, literally, Pickle Chip says, like, you're different. Like, here, I'll do my best to channel this. Like, you are on a path no one has been before, which is why you are rightfully scared. But the fear is supposed to be the fuel that you transmute into power. It's supposed to be the fuel that you use to transform into healing for the world. And when you heal yourself, you heal thy world. And when you heal your hatchlings, they heal each other. And you guys create God. You guys create space for God together to transform your lives. And if God really is each and every one of us, guess what? Each and every one of us is also a dragon, in the sense that we have to transform ourselves. We have to light ourselves on fire. We have to spit fire at the shit we don't want in our world, because if we don't, who's gonna do it, you guys? If we don't do it, who's gonna do it, you guys? Like, I don't care what people tell me about the world ending. So many people, even the ones closest to me, will tell me that it's all in vain, that what I do and what I say and what I show up for is not gonna matter in 10 years anyway because of X, Y, and Z that's gonna happen to us. And I refuse to believe anything in my 3D over what my guardians tell me. That is what they told me. You are the creator of this world. What you believe is possible is possible. You cannot be harmed if you believe you cannot be harmed. Do you know how the mother and the father work over you? Do you really know how to work with the mother and father within you? To protect yourself, to keep yourself safe. You know, it's all about where you put your faith, you guys. I promise you, I would not be standing today if I did not have faith in myself, that my dragon guardians, no matter what, they would save me. No weapon against me will prosper. None. And it didn't matter. These people who I used to be with, who I used to call my friends, who encouraged me to do drugs that nearly took my life, would have taken my life if I did not listen to my dragon guardians, who told me only take half of what they take. I had faith that my dragons would keep me safe, and I had faith that no matter what, if I only followed their guidance, I would be okay. And the only reason why I escaped addictions, the only reason why I escaped domestic violence, the only reason why I fucking survived sexual assault, the only reason why I am standing today is because my dragon guardian said, it's not your time to give up. Keep going. You can do this, bitch. Get up. Keep going. You can do this. We're here with you. We came here with you. And anyone can have dragons. It's not just for me. Okay? Like, you guys have no idea the magic that's ahead of you when you truly work with dragons. Pickle Chips says that it even brings tears to the dragon's eyes. How much transformation you guys go through when you believe in anything you want. Dragons, God, goddesses, ancestors, yourself. Yourself. You don't even have to believe in dragons. And if you have faith in a place that makes you evolve for the better of humanity, they're crying and clapping for you. You know, high flyer, I'm always crying because real dragons cry. Crying is the act of alchemy. It's emotional alchemy. We cry on this channel. I wish everybody healing who are anxious around crying, who feel that they have to make the person who's crying feel better, who feel like they cannot cry, who've been conditioned to think crying is weak, it is your superpower. You should cry on this channel. Like let the water flow from within you. Water is life. And when you cry, it's proof that you have life in you. I love you, Pickle Chips. Holy fuck. Fuck. Pickle Chips tells me that crying is a practice. And if you struggle to cry, it's like riding a bike. If you have not cried in years, how can you expect to cry like Azura Dragon Feather is what Pickle Chips says. Azura is a professional crybaby. Thank you, Pickle Chips, you asshole. If you struggle to cry, you have to practice. You have to get your training wheels. Sometimes you just have to look in the mirror and make the faces. And sometimes you just have to say the things. And sometimes you just have to find and read things that make you angry. Sometimes you have to find anything to open your heart. Cry in the shower, that's the perfect place to cry. You know? Like, it's magic. Your emotions are your magic. And the best spells ever casted, Pickle Chips said, are done with tears in your eyes. Do not be afraid. Wow. Could you give me a minute? I need to go to the bathroom really quick. We'll be back with Pickle Chips, okay? We'll be back. Whew. That was a lot, but I'm back, okay? I just freshened up a little bit, so now I can really focus again, because we just got some really incredible messages from Pickle Chips that genuinely rocked, I think, all of our worlds a little bit. But yeah, shout out to Pickle Chips. Pickle Chips is a real boss, a real bad bitch, okay? Time for a chicken taco break, yay! Okay, let's see. Been sobbing tonight, but I feel much lighter. Yes, you will feel lighter when you cry, I promise you. I got a tear, damn, you made me feel again. Nice. Alfred, you have to understand, you guys, like, a lot of you guys want to avoid your feelings because you have a lot to feel. And Pickle Chips tells me that especially the humans alive today, we have to feel the feelings for sometimes dozens and dozens of generations before us who refused or were not able to truly feel the feelings that are still trapped within our DNA, within our genetics, within our bodies. Wow, that sucks. Pickle Chips is a celestial dragon. Yeah. Pickle Chips, does that mean like spirit dragon? Very adamant on the word celestial specifically. That might be why I have an anger streak. I even try hiding from myself. Yeah, rebel child, you probably pride yourself on being a very agreeable, calm, loving, caring, easy to get along with person. And so the fact that you have a lot of anger, which is righteous anger, because chances are if you're on this channel, you've been systemically, like, I guess, falling through the cracks because you're geeky, cheeky, and freaky, or you're neurospicy, or your expression is just different because of what you believe in, right? So you have righteous rage because people neglected you, probably because people couldn't reciprocate you or misunderstood you, right? But you have to express that, right? You have to express that rage, that anger. You have to get it out of your system. If you don't feel your feelings, you become your feelings, right? So like, I'm wearing tubing mascara. So like, if you see just like lashes come off of me, it's because I've been crying. I had to like get some of it. That's why I had to go to the bathroom, because like some of it was like coming off in my eye. But anyway, all I was trying to say is that like, I too struggle with a lot of anger that I try to deny that I have. And Pickle Chips tells me it's because I've been so severely abused. I have a lot of anger, rightfully so. It would be weird if I wasn't angry, is what Pickle Chips said. And I can either choose to express that anger in the way that traditionally my family would with the generational trauma, or I can choose to do something different. But if I choose to do something different, which is the option I've opted for, it is incredibly hard work. But guess what's also hard work? Staying stuck in a place that you know you don't want to be, and you know you don't belong, and you know that you deserve better than. All of it is hard work on Earth, because we live on Earth, which is a physical place. Physical is what? Hard wood. Earth is hard rock, hard wood, hard lessons. But like, that's why, you know, you have a choice. You have a choice to just be surface level human experience, or you can really take this experience to the fucking deep. You only have one life to live. Live it however you want. You don't have to believe in any of this shit. You can literally watch me for entertainment purposes only, and you can think I'm absolutely a satire channel. Some people think that I'm literally just ridiculous and making this up, which is awesome because they're still watching, right? Like, that's great for my algorithm. Regardless of what's really happening on this side of the screen that you guys will never know, doesn't really matter, because it's my experience too, right? Like, me showing up, expressing myself, and sharing that with you guys live is just as much my experience as it is your experience watching me and chatting with me. We're co-creating a memory, an experience, right? And so you have the choice to also do that with you. Like, if you learn something new today, right, that maybe Yahweh is a dragon, you can take that information however you want and change your reality if you'd like. Or you could think I'm absolutely batshit crazy, laugh about it, share it with a friend, and be like, isn't she kooky, haha, and then like move on with your day. But the whole point of me having this channel is that like I want everybody to find something here, because that's what Pickle Chips tells me. Like, if you don't come for the dragons, if you don't come for the witchcraft, if you don't come for like dragonkin and like the religious stuff, or even the music, you know, like, at least I hope I can make you smile today. At least I hope I can make you laugh. At least I hope I can make you feel something. Because like, you choosing to click on my video today and spend some time with me here today is the only reason why I have the life that I have. And it really pisses me off when people who I work with in the influencer space and in the celebrity space and in the idol space, like in entertainment space, the acting space, and even in sports too, some of our like athletes that we work with, like, and they don't have that appreciation for their audiences. They don't have that knowing of they wouldn't be walking in the rooms that they're walking in had not 1 million plus people subscribed to them. And it's just really hard for me to wrap my brain around. Do you know what I mean? You know? But it's actually none of my business, is what Pickle Chips tells me. What people think about me is none of my business. My business is showing up and paying attention to the way people react to me. And if the way people react to me showing up in my truth makes people uncomfortable, if it costs me relationship, then it was divinely decreed. That's actually the term that Pickle Chips rarely speaks to me in English, okay? And when I was insisted upon doing the daily dose of Dragon Feather to work with Pickle Chips, my biggest hesitation was sharing my truth and being judged for it. And Pickle Chips said, whatever happens in response or reaction to you standing in your truth and sharing it is divinely decreed. Us not just being numbers was why I stayed sub to you, even with a new account. I love you, Rebel Child, so much. You know what I mean? Like, I know some witches are just trying to rack up as many digits on their screen, as many reblogs and saves and comments and likes and shares and follows that they can get. But it is rare that I find witches who are online, who are well known, who walk into spaces with their audiences by their sides. Even people who aren't in the witchy space, like any space really, like never have I ever heard any other person in my space talk about their audiences the way that I do. And like, I have seen it online, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about like in my day job with like the influencers and celebrities, right? Like, we've kind of had like the conversation about it, but I'm like really explicit about it. And I'm like really the person who initiates that conversation. Part of what I do is I coach people's mentalities, right? Like, I make people believe they're worthy of what they are. Like, that's my job. Like, I'm like, you are worthy of being a star. Do you understand me? Why do you doubt your power? Why do you doubt that shit? Hello. Not a therapist. It's like a coach, like a mindset coach, right? Like, who the hell do you think you are? Who are you? That's how I start. That's how I start my coaching, right? Who are you? I might be giving away too much for free right now, but like, seriously. And if they stutter and they can't even answer that fucking question, well, my friend, we have a problem and our work is cut out for us. Let's go. That's when I go like this, all right, and I break out the notebooks. You know? You'd be surprised how many people have millions and millions and millions of followers. You'd be so surprised of how many of your A-listers don't even feel worthy. Don't even feel worthy. And are cracking under pressure. It's all about your mindset. What's happening between your ears is all that matters. Do you understand me? All that matters. Which is why I will be so adamantly on this channel. Like, do you know how easy it would be for me to create another channel and like try to like capitalize off of just what I know about the industry? Easy fucking money. Easy fucking views. I don't want to do that. Why? Because I believe in dragons. I know that might seem weird to some people. Wow, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, I actually just like really love dragons so much I have to talk about it every day with the hatchlings because everyone else in my life thinks I'm genuinely insane. And I'll go actually insane if I have no one to talk about it with. It's very logical, I promise you. This is a very logical thought process we're having here, okay? I keep deleting my socials and starting over because algorithms. Yeah, Anubis, I don't blame you. Yeah, there's so many things that I want to create and post on this channel that just will never do well on the channel algorithmically, right? Like, I would be better off starting a new channel, like, arguably, right? And I probably will for some of it, right? Like, I really, like, want to do, like, gaming. I know, like, come on, man. And I kind of just, like, really need a break, okay? I really need a break from all of the religious hate that I get on this channel in the sense that I need to have a gaming channel to just fucking do fuckery, okay? That's all I have to say. I'm obsessed with dragons, like how people are obsessed with celebrities. Me too. Me too. And let me tell you something. The reason why modern religions are telling you so hard that you can't, like, you know, connect with God properly without like a priest or without going to like a religious building to have like your elders lead you is because they're trying to sever your connection with your own godhood. Your own connection to your divine, to the divine within you, right? And the more your connection with who you really are as a creator in this world is severed, the more you'll experience depression, the more you will be out of alignment, the more disease you will experience, you know, because everything is connected. And stress creates inflammation in the body, and inflammation creates disease in the body, and that also creates cancer in the body. All right, because what? It's all connected, okay? And when I don't have these, you have to understand in these circles, when you get into like influencer circles and celebrity circles, celebrities and influencers are fans of each other. And there's that like star factor with each other too. It's like plays also into the social thing of it, right? But someone like me who has all my faith in dragons and all my faith in God, I don't subscribe to that social hierarchy. It's very rare that I find people that I'm like actually obsessed with when I go to the things that I go to, right? I know a lot of these people, right? Like I've like a lot of them, right? Like you would know them too, but like, am I obsessed with them? Like a fangirl for them? Very rare. Very, very rare. Okay, if at all, because like I am a fangirl of dragons, you know, I'm like a dragon fangirl, you know, that might be just a little awkward, but it is what it is. Would you ever do Patreon or something similar to whatever you want? Yes, Phoenix Holly, I have a Patreon. If you like search Is There a Dragon Feather on Patreon, you can find it. I have like my old content, like The Witch's Secret there. Like you can literally, it's active, right? You can subscribe to it right now and watch those videos that are like unlisted. It's like the secret series I have. But like I'm working with Pickle Chips to like revamp my Patreon in the sense like courses for different types of like magic and working with dragons, right? So, but it's just like these kinds of things take time to do properly, which is why like Pickle Chips told me that my responsibility in terms of public appearance is the daily dose of dragon feather while I'm working on rolling everything else out, if that makes sense. And in the meantime, I'm just kind of fucking around with shorts because my agency is like shorts. So yeah. If you see all of my like my old video style, like or topics or like video content that I used to make that did really well, but like reposted as a short. Now you know why. 818 is infinity, according to the Angel Numbers book by Mystic Michaels. I love that because that is one of the phone number area codes. That's fun. Can you do a 10 signs you have dragons around you video? Yes, I will do that, Gabriel. That's a great video idea. Pickle Chip says you're star student for that one. I love it. I gotta go. My battery is low as fuck. Have a good night. Lance of Dance, thank you so much for joining. It's so awesome to have you here for your daily dose of dragon feather. Yeah. Okay, I'm drinking more of the Alive. It's actually really good. I need some more, and you do too. You should totally try some. Dragon feather games. Ayo, that's crazy. When did you have your first experience with dragons? When I was a literal child. Some of my very first memories are of dragon imaginary friends. Also warmth. Yes. Have a good night. Oh my god, I love it. Yeah, if you missed the warmths from the last episode, it's like womp womp hashtag. Like worms. I highly recommend you watch the live streams of the reading of the Elizabeth Golding book. I have a playlist. I made a playlist on my channel actually if you want to like have a easier like read, easier listen like in one shot. The playlist is called like My Bible, parentheses the First Sex Book Breakdown, because this is essentially my Bible these days. In the sense that it really captures every part of my heritage, even the shitty parts, like the racism and the bigotry. Right. Would you ever write a book? Yes, I'm actually working with Pickle Chips every day, writing several. So when it's time, they're all just ready to go when the campaigns are ready. So it's just, we're working on a lot, but I can't tell you a lot. So that's, I already said too much, but that's like the only thing I'm allowed to kind of like say too much about is like the things I'm working on for the channel, because it's not like spiritual knowledge, if that makes sense. It's just what I'm working on. So book full of Nazi ideas, Azura. This is literally my Bible. Yeah, out of context it's really bad, but it's my Bible because of the Nazi ideals, in the sense that like it shows me just like how ugly the roots are of like modern day reality, right? Like it helps remind me of the context of which we come from, in which I was created, in which, you know, it's helping me deconstruct my religious experience because of the beliefs that my parents and like my like church had and my community had when I was a little girl, and going to church, how that played into my religious trauma. And this book is my Bible because it's helping me deconstruct and understanding that I don't have to be mad at my parents. I don't have to hate them. It's actually something that we're all kind of dealing with the symptoms of sick society, you know what I mean, over generations and generations, and we're dealing with that now. We're seeing that come to a head now, which is what people are so dramatic about, the end times. The only reason why it's like the end times is because people feel like it's the end of the world when they have to sit with themselves and deal with their fucking feelings. Thank you, Pickle Chips. DeForest, welcome back to your daily dose of dragon feather. What's your favorite pantheon of deities or belief system that you personally don't work with but are fascinated by? Celtic pantheon, the Irish belief systems, and the Welsh belief systems. But we will be exploring that more on the channel, you know, because that's part of me. My decolonization journey is relearning the magic that is inherent to the people of my bloodline, if that makes sense. Is your ancestry linked to the early Mormons? Yes, it is. I know the history of the Mormon church is dark as fuck. Yes, so that's more on my dad's side of the family. I get the Irish heritage on my mom's side of the family, like the really like strong Irish heritage from my mom. And then I get the more or less colonizer heritage from my dad's side. Drama. But like we can trace some of our family heritage back to the 1700s in America, like the colonies, like the colonial settlers. Yeah, You're looking at one of the descendants of those bitches. Really sorry about that. I know that's awkward, but there was also a quick minute where my family on my dad's side was really Mormon. My grandpa was Mormon, I think more generations than my grandma, because my grandma, I think, converted to Mormonism when she married my grandpa, and I could be wrong. But I know that my grandma was born into a Freemason, like Freemasonry. And so she was a child bride, and she married my grandpa very, 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 very young, and had kids very, 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 very young. And she had very many kids because she also was Mormon, going to the Mormon church and stuff like that. So like this is also part of my deconstruction, right? Like my family history, especially religiously speaking and culturally speaking, you know, like everyone wants to say white people don't have culture, and that's true because we have sacrificed our cultural identities for whiteness. Do you understand? The price of white supremacy is sacrificing who you are. Do you understand? It's not a good deal. Okay? It's not a good deal, brother, sister. Please unsubscribe. Please unsubscribe and free Palestine. Thank you. Thank you. Were you a Mayflower descendant? It is very possible, Evangeline Moonrise. Very possible. I personally will not get a DNA test with my own DNA because Pickle Chips tells me don't. But many of my family members have done that, like the genealogy tests and stuff like that. So that's where a lot of what I know comes from. I'm into Egyptian pantheon and I find it fascinating, though I'm not involved in it, but I've heard different things on whether or not it's closed or not. Yes, DeForest, I have also really subscribe to Egyptian mythology as well. That would be my second choice. The more that I learn about the history, and this might be a hot take, so I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, let me know in the comments, but the more that I look at it, it seems like the gods and pantheons that we have are just recreations of older pantheons from an older age. As much as I'm studying, it seems like the Egyptian pantheon are just echoes of ancient Sumerian gods, and the more that I study ancient Sumeria, the more that it seems like Sumerian deities are echoes of ancient Atlantean gods. Do I know the truth? No. I'm just a girl who follows her dragons, singing songs along the way. That is literally all I'm doing, okay? And I just try to share that with you, right? Oh, let's see. How does Pickle Chips feel about the tribe Indian magic from like Native American, if Pickle Chips is willing to answer? Pickle Chips tells me that they work with feathered dragon serpents. Indigenous Americans are connected with what we would know as the amphitheater, and vaguely so. Quetzalcoatl was mentioned earlier in this video. I struggle a little bit to pronounce that name, but that dragon god is a closed dragon god, which is why I don't work with Quetzalcoatl, even though I am Dragon Feather. But I try my best to be like, as like, you know, respectful of things like that, right? And there's like some really hard no's that I get from Pickle Chips when I ask. Like when I say like, Pickle Chips, can I use white sage or Palo Santo? Pickle Chips says not for the hands of a dragon feather, right? So if the book is racist, I don't think we should wreck it or buy it from the author though, because it can fund authors no hate JK. Oh, actually, no, you're absolutely right, Nubis. So that's a really good point. I will find a PDF of the book that's free because the book is out. The book was published long enough ago that I do believe it is in the public domain now. A lot of these older books are gonna do that because of the way publishing works, right? So you're absolutely genius, Anubis. Thank you for mentioning that and reminding me so I can find a PDF. And then when I do find a PDF, that's free. You could probably Google the first sex and then Google Doc or Google Drive and it'll probably come up. I have a feeling. she's dead, so she's not getting any money. That's true. But like, depending on what organizations she's attached to, it very much could be like, you know, funding Zionist things or funding things we don't know about, like we just don't know about, right? Quetzalcoatl is a beautiful name, though, a beautiful closed name. I mean, you know, like, I think as it should be. There's certain dragons that should be Pickle Chips tells me certain dragons should remain in the hands of those who have been working with them for generations, for they are bonded together, and even the hands of Azura Dragonfeather would not appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, that's from Pickle Chips. So, and I will respect that, you know what I mean? Because again, I'm just a girl who follows her dragons, singing songs along the way. And if my dragons say that not even I would be able to do it honor or justice, then I will not touch it, because I feel like that is my version of like blasphemy, if you will, right? Or my version of heresy, if you will. It's only to protect them and their culture. They've lost so much already. Yes, it's to protect the bond, is what Pickle Chips tells me. So that makes sense. The peoples, the native peoples who have bonds with dragons, like their native dragons, it keeps their identity alive as much as it keeps the dragon's identity alive, right? Which is why if your witchcraft practice is not about the color of your skin, or it's not informed, like I should say indigenously informed, as Pickle Chips would say, then you're kind of not doing it right. I know that I might get some heat for that, but yeah. So this is why I say, like, really the only like gatekeepy thing in all of my work that I do with dragons is that they want you to protect what's precious. If you want to work with the kind of dragons that are intimately connected with you for your highest growth, the ones that love you, the ones that are almost like family, if not closer than family, those kinds of dragons know firsthand the trauma of colonization, of white supremacy, of racism, of misogyny, of those kinds of things, and they know that it's not in your highest interest either. Even if you're a white person, like, racism isn't in your highest interest. It's just not. Fafnir is a dragon. Dragon Fae. That's all I'm getting from Pickle Chips about Fafnir. Pickle Chips is just giving me an image of me talking to Fafnir for the rest of that, and I'm not channeling Fafnir right now. So, the feathered serpent told me a name, no idea how to spell it. Sounds like fur. That's awesome. I mean, like, not like every feathered serpent is Quetzalcoatl, right? Like, Quetzalcoatl is like a feathered serpent dragon god specifically, right? Like that is a closed dragon, right? Right? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, but I mean, like, if like Quetzalcoatl comes up in conversation, or if I'm like meditating and I see or feel energy like that, I'll just like kind of do like a very like spiritual bow of acknowledgement, but then I like mind my own business and keep walking. Like, I'll be like, oh, thank you for the visit, and I mind my business and keep walking, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm not gonna go like out of my way to be like, altar for Quetzalcoatl, like, I honor you but I don't work with you. Like, that feels weird. Have you ever worshipped any other fae or creatures? I don't worship things, Anubis. The only one I worship, really, I guess you could say, is like, I guess what I would consider God, if you will, like the creator, or all that is, like the connection of consciousness of the universe, like the heartbeat of the universe, I guess you could say, or whatever. Like, I like will pray to that energy or that, I guess, concept or that interpretation of God, like a monotheistic God, right? Because that, like, that view of God and love of God and faith of God really never left me, because I was like born Mormon and I was very much in the church as a child, very much loved Jesus, very much loved, you know, God. Like, I grew up in a household where like white Jesus was on my wall, right? So yeah, like right when I went up to go upstairs every night, I had to look at white Jesus on the wall. Like, it was a little weird, but like, I digress. Are there any vampire deities or deities that could be considered vampiric? Yes, DeForest. Yes, yes, yes. And some dragons would even be considered vampiric dragons, because there's overlap with dragons everywhere, is what Pickle Chips tells me. Anything you can think of, there's some sort of dragon hybrid. This live inspired me to work with dragons again. Any tips on what a dragon practice looks like? It looks like a lot of shadow work. It looks like a lot of divination. It looks like a lot of hard conversations with yourself. And it looks like discipline, self-discipline. It looks like making better decisions for yourself. It looks like being consistent in a practice that you feel called to, be that a meditation practice, be that a prayer practice, be that a spell casting practice, or any combination of anything. It just really depends. Do dragons have a world of their own? Yeah, Pickle Chip says there's a draconic realm for sure. But yes. I think I'm pretty much caught up with the chat. I don't believe they're part of the Ars Goetia, but if you start looking into the pantheon and stuff related to them, you'll find fur. Give me just a second, I have a book that mentions them. That's crazy, Nightmare Fuel Studios. See, this is why also Pickle Chips tells me that, like, I'm absolutely required to do this every single day for the daily dose of Dragon Feather. Excuse me. Simply because, and I'm so serious, when you guys share things, not only with me and with each other, we like learn so much quicker, right? It like operates like a hive mind, is what they say. What qualities does Pickle Chips like about people? What qualities do you like in humans, Pickle Chips? The ones that are adult enough to hear, swallow, and embody hard truths. Pickle Chip says not many humans are adults, and it breaks their hearts, because it's not our fault. Everyone alive today is really far from being an adult, even the most elevated and wise among us. There are few, like, you could say, like, truly like grown-ups, right, in every sense of the word, but most people are operating as like wounded toddlers, wounded teenagers, and unable to grow out of that. And like, the only way that changes is within us. Heal thyself to heal thy world, Pickle Chip says. Because when I heal myself, I'll start showing up differently. And when I start showing up differently in the world, then people are going to start reacting to me differently. And when people start reacting to me differently, especially if they tune into what I do every day, then that's going to initially create a ripple effect that actually changes the expression of the world around us. And you are capable of that too. You don't have to have a YouTube channel to make that change. You just have to show up in your truth around the people in your life already. When you go to work, it doesn't matter. You clock in with your guardians. You know? So much gratitude to you. You're my first witchy guide and still guiding to this day. So grateful for you. Crown Fox Productions. It's an honor and a privilege to help. The furries that are Greco-Roman grappling? Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Working Dragon Mystic did a video where he explains that dragons have their own laws they're bound to. Is that true? Pickle Chips, do dragons have their own laws that they are bound to? There is no one law that all dragons are bound to outside of the laws of the realms in which they exist. The same way that humans cannot operate outside of the like laws of the reality in which they exist. But each dragon usually has their own code of ethics, if you will, like their own morals, if you will, the same way humans have their own moral compass. It's just a little bit different when it comes to dragons, and dragons are absolutely going to be forced to follow that because dragons are disciplined, are like disciplinary energy incarnate, right? We are guardians, we are gatekeepers. And if we have a certain code of ethics that we operate by, we transform into something we are not when we don't follow it. Oh. Oh. That was really interesting, Pickle Chips. Thank you for that. The dragons become something they are not when they don't adhere to their own code of ethics. There's a lot of wisdom in that. There's a lot to unpack in that, for sure, for sure. But anyway, I am honestly getting pretty hungry. We've also been at this for a while. I did just want to say, let me just double check this guy's name so I don't forget. I want to say thank you to the guy who prompted this video. His name is Celestial God King TAHUT on TikTok. I linked his TikTok in the description below, and I highly recommend you guys go follow him. He talks about a lot of the topics we've been getting into here on the channel. They just came across my For You page the more that I've been diving into my research about Abrahamic religion's gods being a plagiarized version of Tiamat, the dragon. Oh, Fur can take on an angelic form. Oh my gosh, what is happening? Fur is the 34th demon in the Ars Goetia. Wow. That's insane. As well as a dragon form or a demonic form? We never. I'm not too sure. What is this? I have to go look up what this is. The Ars Goetia? Goetta? Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that. But anyway, please go check that out. For the one who said it sounded like Fur, they are the 34th demon of the Ars Goetia. So if anyone's watching on the back play, they can search it themselves. OMG, is Pickle Chips a celestial dragon and the guy on TikTok is named Celestial God King TAHUT? Yeah. Isn't that funny how that shit works? I did not notice that until you pointed that out, but holy. Pickle Chips is laughing. Oh my goodness. What a day, you guys. What a day. I hope you guys know how much I love you. You guys are the greatest thing that's ever happened to me besides dragons. So I love you guys so much. Please go check out Celestial God King TAHUT. I hope you know how much gratitude I have for you, TAHUT, or if that's how you go. I hope I'm saying your name right. But I have so much gratitude for you today. You have prompted such an amazing video for the hatchlings and I. Your knowledge and content has helped us heal today, so thank you very much for the work that you do and for sharing some of yourself with us, because it has really helped us have a wonderful live today. So also thank you guys so much for choosing to spend some of your day with me today. But until next time, stay geeky, cheeky, and freaky, geeky, cheeky, and freaky, geeky, cheeky, and freaky little hatchlings. Blessed be and bye.